Hey, it's the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I am Ron Bennington. This ends the Big Little Lies week.
This is like, I don't know how no one has used this song by the B-52s before this, but it was maybe my favorite song that they used in the entire show.
I got this thing from Duffy in San Diego, who thought we went too vanilla selection all week of Big Little Lies. He says, I'm in the process of listening to all 43 songs featured on the show, and there are some great gems. But come on, White Rabbit, Dreams, please. I'm already guessing tomorrow as popular as a Rolling Stone. Way to barely scratch the surface. Stop being an Annabella and be more of a Chloe.
Oh,
he
my
gives
gosh.
us his top 5 picks, but he says there's so many more. Go deeper. Love the show forever, and that's Duffy in San Diego.
It doesn't sound like so much love, but no, I wasn't going to start it with a 10-minute Pop was a Rolling Stone. I wish I could, but I couldn't.
You know, the B-52s, one of the reasons why I think it's always a mistake for your band when you're too funny. There's something about music and humor, and it'll cost you every single time.
That's true, but I think I mean, even like his voice is funny. Like, it doesn't really even matter if he's doing like serious lyrics. Like, it's automatically funny.
But you're always, they always take pieces off from you. Randy Newman has always had to get past the fact that he's funny. Warren Zevon, I think the same exact thing has happened. I mean, to me, Excitable Boy is an excitable song. But our youngsters put together a box of funny music that's up on the iBank today. What is the premise of this, Jen?
So it's the funniest hip-hop songs ever.
Now, the funniest hip-hop songs. Yeah. Is there a non-funny hip-hop song? I think they're all meant for reasons of comedy. Am I wrong about that? I mean, Eminem is a very funny guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some of Eminem's songs, especially lately, have gotten incredibly dark. More about, like, what he's went through since he's been.
Yeah.
But he's still rhyming like he was writing for children. So you can't get around that.
He dropped that, like, when in, like, late 90s, early...
Your mic dropped out.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Late 90s, early 2000s Eminem was much more of the, like, his writing process was just finding words that rhymed and filling in the rest. And that's why, like, he has songs like Ass Like That, where you saw, like, Triumph the Insult Dog be in the video. Like, there are some rap songs that not only themselves are hilarious, but then the videos add that much more to them.
That song was, like, when that one came out, I thought it was, like, actually a joke premise. Like, I didn't think it was like a real Eminem song, cause it's just an ode to Triumph. Like, he's doing a Triumph.
By the way, that's no worse of a topic than any other hip-hop song. There's nothing different. All right, Jen, where were you? What's the funny hip-hop songs for you?
So for me, like when I think of the funniest one, I think of the Afro Man, Because I Got High. Like when that song came out, like it was like a joke song to me. I was like, how could this actually get radio play? And then when I heard it, I was like, oh wait, they're actually laughing like it sounds like a bunch of people in a room just like talking to each other. Hi.
And at the time, we were all impressed with getting high.
I like how often that gets used in movies where there's just like, so we have a scene where someone's smoking weed. Afro Man?
Yeah. Perfect. I don't think that's too on the nose. Give me another one.
The Little Dicky, Save That Money. That one.
Well, this dude's from Cheltenham, Pennsylvania. He's like up and coming. He started as just a joke dude, and he's gotten so popular that actual rap outlets are like putting him in as one of their top rookies of the year.
Yes, there's no reason not to.
And
there's no reason not to at all.
This song was all over commercials. It's all over. You'll hear it at random sports games, and I think this guy, like, he's my favorite rapper right now because of just how funny he is. This whole video was filmed on like no budget whatsoever. He just asked people to like give him a house to film in. He got random dealerships to give him cars.
You know what's great is you know so many fun facts about this.
I mean, I love this dude. This dude is my favorite.
Yeah.
And a few white rappers too, so of course Vito knows.
Yes, that's a good point. Vito likes some whites. Yes. Vito looks at hip hop like he looks at girlfriends. Can I please? He goes, I'll take any, but can I please have a white first? I want to give you guys one. I think it's up on your list, and it actually has become hateful for me because of parties I'm at where people attempt to sing like Biz Markie, like I've never seen it done at another 100 parties.
Right.
Like you're not doing a parody of him; it's how he actually sings.
You know, we often talk about like big sing-along songs, and I always forget this one. This is a big one, like at parties, like everyone knows all the lyrics.
I hate it for that reason, because I have to keep experiencing it over and over, and people are like, oh, isn't this a great moment that we're all having? But it's literally based on movies and other parties you've been to.
Oh yeah, this one was definitely like the funniest song when I first heard it, because I was kind of like going through a breakup when I heard this song.
You're always going through a breakup. It's gotta be you after a while.
So when I heard it, it was like the funniest like breakup song I've ever heard. Especially since it gives like the guy's account of like walking into, you know, your girl's room with another guy.
By the way, I want everyone to look over and notice that Connor is just glaring at us now.
He doesn't understand.
You don't find humor in music. It shouldn't be a silly
funny.
place.
This isn't funny.
Yeah.
Leeds is a very serious band.
Yes,
it's
they
not
are.
a joking matter.
They are as serious as the Doors.
Would you ever write a funny lyric?
I don't think I can.
Yes.
No, he's a serious man.
So when you see people like this, they're making fun of music itself, in your opinion.
You're making fun of me personally?
Yes, they're making fun of the art form of writing
absolutely.
music.
I would have to say, for me, the funniest rap song has got to be Digital Underground, The Humpty Dance.
That was funny.
Like, that song is so damn funny. It's like maybe one of my favorite rap songs of all time. And that's like another one, like everybody has to do the impression because he raps so weird.
Yeah. And the Humpty Dance is still popular too.
Now, has he had any real success outside of this?
No, this is,
Like, this is kind of like his one hit.
But he could do this as well as anyone in the history.
Yes.
And he was electric during this. I mean, it really is like watching stand-up.
Well, it is pronounced with the umpty.
The Humpty Dance has turned out quite a few parties over there.
Every single comedian
Yeah.
popped like crazy when that song played at the hotel party.
They went nuts, huh?
Oh, when this song played, it was just an eruption.
Now, I have another one for you, but I don't have a song. But I feel like ODB has to be mentioned because he just is funny. Like, I don't think...
dirty bastard.
I think he's not trying to be funny.
Oh,
but
really?
But there's like his music just makes me laugh, and interviews with him were insane. Like, he's just like one of those people who's just naturally funny.
I think there's a lot of hip hop artists that are like that, just funny. Like, what's his name? DMX, when he came out with...
Yes, he's very... Yes, when he's not abusing people, he's a really, really funny guy.
Well, ODB's Baby I Got Your Money is also always a ridiculous song.
Yeah, I like that.
Because he just sounds crazy as shit.
We're going backwards now. Back to old dirty bastard.
He just wants his child support money back. It's fucking crazy.
Chris, what's your pick for funniest rap?
Akinyele, Put It in My Mouth.
Oh, yeah, I like
Or a song just about, hey, blow me.
I mean, like...
Wouldn't that be you blowing someone if it's put it in my mouth?
This song is so funny.
Yeah, it's like mostly it's like the bluntness of like any rap song. You're like, oh, they're not leaving a lot to the imagination. They're telling me exactly what they want done.
I honestly don't find myself laughing at this. I don't see where the wit part comes in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what's funny is that it is a song. Like, the first time I heard it, I was like, that's not a real song.
But I do think something has to go beyond being shocking and actually be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more just bluntness with that song.
Yeah.
So like everything the Lonely Island's done. like they've crossed over from just an SNL sketch.
Right.
To like a legitimate, they get legit artists to be with them and do awesome.
But they are professional comedians first. And foremost, which is almost a cheat.
And they're rappers second.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like they're making fun of rap.
But I'm on a boat. I hear out at most bars I go to. Every night I'm out. I hear them on a boat.
Do they play it in clubs like as a... They do?
Yeah.
That's
how I first heard it. I was in a club and like a bar club. And I heard this song. And it has T-Pain.
I had no idea they would ever play this in a club.
I used to have to dance on top of a bar to this song every night for 2 years.
You were a stripper?
No.
That is so
sad. Just a low-rent bartender. You were a sex worker.
Yeah, I can't give you the same benefit if your number one goal is comedy.
Right.
Not music.
But for people that just are doing comedy, the songs are still like really catchy. And I think a lot of them are like they have one with Adam Levine from Maroon 5 called YOLO that I think is on its own is a good song. And they even got Kendrick Lamar, who's like one of the hottest rappers right now, on it. And I don't think a guy like that would like do it if he didn't take them seriously.
I think just the opposite. I think if they were serious, they never would have gotten those people.
Right.
And for them, it's more of a chance for me. Hey, here's a chance for me to go mainstream comedy.
Did they do the one with, oh God, who is the girl that they did the rap song with? And it's just like, Natalie Portman? Was that them who made the Natalie Portman SNL where she was just like, we love you, Natalie. I want to fuck you too. Like that, like was a pretty legitimate song.
Probably another one too is Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back.
Well, Baby Got Back, I'm gonna go and agree with that because I feel like he thought he was making a song. About the great assness.
Right.
And
like there is an earnestness there. Like we're laughing, but I do agree that there's something really earnest about what he's saying.
And I think that maybe he thought after the fact, oh great, people do think it's funny, but I don't think he cared one way or another. I think he wanted to have a hit song.
I find the humor in Put 'Em on the Glass, personally. When he turned his back on the ass and said, ladies, don't forget the tits. Please put them on the glass.
I saw that more as a desperate move to stay on the charts. Like, what other body parts? Luckily, that wasn't a big enough hit that we had to hear a song about the labia coming in third.
Shake that labia!
Hold on, you're joking, but...
Well, the other one that I have decided is really good is when Eminem joined a band called D12 when I was in I'd say 6th or 7th grade. He left.
That's not a date for most people. You'd have to give us the year.
I'm going to say 2003, 2004 era.
6th or 7th grade. Oh, is that what it was?
That was for me. It was my highlight.
I thought he was with these guys before he was,
he was, but he got with them after he made it big.
These are his mud crutch, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And, by the way, all this is up on the iBang. I'll be the guy who plugs if you want to go over and check out any of the stuff that the kids put together.
And what's the title of it?
It's Hip Hop's Funniest Playlist.
Witty. So go back to 5th grade.
So when this song came out, everybody was getting really sick of boy bands and the pop music of the early 2000s.
I know that you were fresh to it, but I feel like the world was way sick of it before 2005.
well,
I had 99 for myself.
Yeah.
I can't take this anymore.
It's after one hit.
Well, we were coming down off of it hard, and then this song came out making fun of those types of guys, and everybody knew all the lyrics to this.
Yeah. And again, Eminem, I see nothing different between you and the boy bands. You're all part of the same era to me. That what I consider the terrible start of the millennium.
What was it about Eminem? When was that change when he stopped being a funny rapper?
When he got back from rehab. When he did the Relapse album. Or no, when he did the Rehab album.
Is that the one with Stanley or something?
No. Stan was still on it was in the middle of all those funny songs. He just dropped that hard.
Right.
He was one of the few people that seemed to have a rough time with cough medicine. I couldn't even get behind his rehab. He was doing the cough medicine pretty bad. But he never seemed like he did any of the fun drugs.
No, the worst I ever heard him talk about doing was Vicodin and cough syrup. And there's too much Tylenol and Vicodin really to really do anything.
I actually will admit I legitimately like the Eminem movie. Like that's like the one Eminem song.
Yeah, I like that song.
What is-
Encore?
Yeah. Like that if that movie is on, I will actually watch it.
No, I
I'm
love
not
it.
gonna
I've seen
lie.
it so many times. It was definitely one of the best.
I mean, the whole that whole the album with the red curtains on it.
Right.
Encore.
It was one of the, like, when My Name Is came out, or when Welcome Back, all of those songs were just, like when Jimmy Fallon opened the VMAs.
Right.
As Batman and Robin, from that video, I remember being a little kid just so excited because I loved that music video so much.
That was like
What grade do you think you were in, Vito?
I'm gonna say that was a third grade, maybe a second.
like that was kind of a dark time of culture. Wasn't
Terrible.
It was like
low. Enough that a person like Vito could be
Right.
brought into the world and never being able to play catch up because of it.
like I was like high school age at that point, and I just remember feeling like I couldn't relate to anything.
Well, what
It was
about the
mostly-
Ex-Tina? Weren't you there for Ex-Tina?
Yeah, I was there. I just didn't want to be. But this was also like the time where like Limp Bizkit was like the most popular band.
Limp Bizkit, Korn, Creed. It was just as low as the world could get.
But like that Limp Bizkit style, that it was just like that made every boy completely undateable. You were just like, if you saw him with like a backwards baseball cap and baggy jeans and a white t-shirt, you're like, oh, this is not good. Like, where is there any guy who's not doing that thing? And where can I meet
I
that guy?
sincerely think that you can draw a line, and I'm not making this up, from that era to Trump becoming president. I think that the culture slide that took place left the kind of thinking that we have now. And I don't fucking joke about that.
I mean, in a weird way, I think that there's probably some truth to it. I mean, it was
There's
like
100% truth to it.
it's just like it was such a thing because it was like a culture of not being cultured. That's kind of what the thing was. It was like
I literally said during that era, I go, you watch, either Trump or that guy from Survivor is going to be our president one day.
Richard Hatch.
Yeah.
President Hatch.
It's going to be Richard Hatch, the naked gay guy, or Trump. I go, it doesn't really matter which one it is.
Yeah, there was just something like that occurred. Something that happened, and across the board you go, fashion, music, culture in general. I mean, maybe like late 90s had some good film.
This is why we are dependent on Connor to somehow save what we can.
That's why we need leads.
I'm willing to take this mantle.
Yeah. That's why we say for those about to rock, we salute you. But no, I am not kidding that kind of slip in the culture that we had. I don't think that we've come out of it. And I think it does have a lot to do with the way that you read and perceive all kinds of things.
Because like, I think what it was like an anti-culture. It was like saying that
And
anything
also,
that was of quality was bad.
and anything that's popular is good.
Right.
Anything that is popular for any fucking reason. And it becomes, as soon as it becomes a joke to you, where you're like, this thing was so stupid, we all did it. You know what I mean? Like, this thing was so asinine that we all thought it was fun to repeat it.
Yeah.
That fucking happened to us. And we're at the point now where I'm saying the number one TV show, and I can't turn it off, is the fucking Trump news show. I'm binge watching.
Yeah, you can't turn away. Like, there was never a time where, there was a point where, you could discuss politics with somebody and they're like, oh, I'm not really into politics, or I don't really follow politics. And I don't think you have much of a choice. You could be more or less informed, but it is absolutely impossible to ignore it the way that it was once possible.
Because it's every internet website too has a fucking something on Trump. Doesn't matter what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think is kind of interesting. Like, for example, a site like Dig, which was always kind of like strange stories or different cultural things or videos has now put up a section that's just Trump news, and they're like, "Look, we can't not cover Trump stuff."
There's no site. There's no site that you go to that isn't just inundated with Trump, which is odd too. Now that you see, like, tonight, or I guess it was last night, is the last red eye.
Yeah, last night.
You would have thought that's when Fox would have been on the Trump stuff the most.
Yeah,
and yet. I even thought that any of the red eyes that I've seen this year, they didn't even embrace Trump. I think that might have been part of their problem.
I think Trump has really confused, particularly the people who were serious about politics, who are right wing and followed politics beforehand. The real party people, the Republicans. I think that they had no idea of how they were going to have to behave within this new America.
None of us do.
Yeah.
This is fucking just a whole new weird place to be. But to go back to the point that brought us here, I do think that culture opened us up to the reality star, the famous person, famous for being famous, having a real chance to become president of the United States.
Well, it's also the beginning of the rise of the internet too. So I don't know how much, so much of it is TV culture, but it would be weird to say that the internet didn't have some effect on
I think it's less the internet, and that was more the rise of social media, where it was a daily, minute by minute, I'm involved in what, the things that I put up on my page kind of show who I am. And most of the time you found out that people just put up these easy to know cultural references. It also is the same birth of the Kardashian family. You know what I mean? It all goes back to that same era where even now, and it's been like 10 years, and people are like, why are the Kardashians famous? And I'm like, that may have been funny 9 or 8 or 7 years ago, but now it's more alarming than anything.
Yeah, season 1 you could have said that. Now there's like 7 different TV shows. We know why they're famous. They're the Kardashians.
Yeah, but that's absolutely...
But you still don't know why. You know what I mean? There's no more of an answer that we have why it's fucking happening. You know?
Yeah.
And just like Trump, you can't not know about Kardashian news. Like, that's not something that you can avoid if you are somebody who turns on your TV or goes on the internet.
That crazy Pepsi commercial that was done by the Jenner girl. I mean, it goes to show that, here's Pepsi. It was one of the most ingenious marketing companies of all time. Missing by a goddamn country mile. You know what I mean? Where they had to go, we screwed up. We got it.
Yeah, I don't think that could have come off more tone deaf, but beside the fact that it's just like a bad premise, which is like, look, you would imagine anybody who works in sales or ads throw out bad premises all the time, but that it was selected, and how many hands did it pass through? How many people, signed off on that? Like, it's not just like, one guy made a bad idea. Like, this is an entire company who their whole point is, let's not offend anyone and let's get them to drink our product.
There will be an Easter commercial one day where the Virgin Mother is popping a Pepsi. She looks up at Christ on a cross.
It was so insane. And then
because this comes from a lifetime of people now, where you're watching commercials and you're like, I don't even know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's for sale. I don't know who the people are. I don't know why there's a giant hamster who's the dad of the family. But, now, every once in a while we're just like, you guys missed it. I'm like, they miss it all the fucking time. This one just offended you a little more. And offended both. Like, the fact that they even lined up cops are just the enemy of a generation. Like, that's a gimme.
And then,
you guys hate them, right?
Yeah. And by the way, like, the people who are actually human people, right? So the cops, she hands him a Pepsi, he drinks it, and then turns to his buddy like, the kid's got a point. Like, it was like the most awkward moment.
Maybe I can drink this instead of killing young unarmed blacks. You know what I mean? Pepsi. This wasn't around when I was a kid. There's no generation that Pepsi is new to. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no, I mean, like, Babe Ruth was like, hey, this fucking Pepsi is sweeter than a Coke.
And like the idea that an entire group of people are marching, but they're all just holding Pepsi signs, and the way that this Jenner girl looks out with just like true inspiration.
Yeah.
She's like, I had no idea Pepsi was a thing. I'm gonna join them.
There's a new generation coming on, and they're not drinking coffee, they're drinking Pepsi, you know?
Every race drinking
Yes.
Pepsi.
Only attractive people from every race.
So attractive.
There's not one fat person here, despite the fact that there's more calories in a Pepsi than any human should have over the course of a week.
Just flavored high fructose corn syrup. That's what brings us all together.
It would have been better if there was just thousands of fat people, just fat acne people just traveling around with Pepsi.
We don't care.
So anyway, all of it's the same. Coming up a little later on in the show, it's Unmasked with Paul Schaefer.
And you could get a chance to win a signed Paul Schaefer Unmasked poster. Do a super tweet at Paul Schaefer at Bennington Show. All the details are on the Bennington Show Twitter.
That's a great prize. At Bennington Show, at Paul Schaefer. Send us your super tweets.
So great job with your funny hip-hop songs, kids.
Go to the iBang for hip hop's funniest playlist, and if you have some of your own, add them on the comment section.
God. Seriously.
Comment section.
That no one uses. It's fucking 2017. The comment section is dead.
Better than that.
Yeah.
See you guys in the comment section.
You can't not fuck it up, can you? All right, why don't we take a break here? We'll try to, we'll put the Beto outside is what we'll do. This is, the Bennington Show. Yeah. It's the Bennington Show on a Friday. Coming up, a Unmasked with Mr. Paul Schaefer.
And you can win a signed Unmasked poster signed by Paul Schaefer by sending us your super tweets. So send it to at Bennington Show and at Paul Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
For a chance to win that signed poster.
Oh, yes, you're right. You didn't really
you're right.
re-emphasize that.
Sorry, I forgot to tell you.
Signed, unique poster, Bennington Show.
That's a very cool prize.
Yeah. Well, you know, Paul Schaefer is the guy who started Schaefer Beer.
I did not.
Yes, and he wrote the song Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. That's right. If you're gunning down beers, driving your car.
Was that really their tag?
What? Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
When you're housing beers, you want to house Schaefer.
When shit's getting weird.
Yeah.
Get weird with Schaefer.
Paul Schaefer. Champagne of bottled beers.
All right, so I have a question for you guys. What is a great movie with a terrible title?
Bing, 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 bing.
Ron Bennington has
I'm gonna go
rung
with this.
in first. No one
I'm going to
else.
say that the title Die Hard is absolutely ridiculous. Because, first of all, it's so odd to say Die Hard.
Right.
But who died hard? The bad guys?
Yeah, they died hard, I guess, but...
And Nakatomi died hard.
Or are they saying it's so hard for him to die?
He dies. I would say Die Hard was a hard... Like, if there was a hard birth, you know what that's like? A Die Hard. Not an easy death for him. He had to die hard.
That makes most sense.
Why didn't they just say it can't kill?
I would have just called it Bruce. The Willis story. I've got another one. See, there's a lot of things about titles. Like, after you get used to a title, you act like it's not so bad. But the name of the band, the Beatles, is an embarrassing name.
Yes.
The Who is an idiotic name.
Yeah.
Yes is a dumb name for a band.
Them?
All these names are not good. U2 is perhaps the worst title.
It doesn't suit them.
No, they're not a spy plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say the same for REM. REM does not seem like a band that needs initials. You know, like they don't seem, like what are they, LFO?
Yeah. What is that?
Come on.
Go with this? So I'm going to tell you this. I think the title even though we now think of it as one of the biggest movies of all time, I think Jaws is a ridiculously embarrassing. I mean, Shark would be a better title than Jaws.
Yeah, they never say Jaws in it. They're like, look at the jaws on that son of a bitch. Is not a line in Jaws. And
it looks like the kid got stuck inside the jaws of that shark. The jaws, that is.
And said it. And it's one of those things where people call the shark Jaws, and then they get upset about it, and they're like, well, you're the one with the bad title, guys. You've just called it Jaws. We don't know why it's Jaws.
Does anyone know what they would call Jaws on the set? They referred to him as Bruce.
They just called it as a regular name?
Yes, they all gave it a regular... No, what do you mean a regular name?
Like a human name for a fucking shark.
Yes.
A robot shark at that.
I'm sorry, is there shark names that we don't know about, Chris?
Like Finboy would have been a better...
Chompy.
Yeah, Chompy, yeah.
Finboy. Finboy would be worse than Jaws.
Quiet on the set. Finboy is ready to go.
All right, has anybody else got a bad movie title?
I thought Taxi Driver was a little bit too on the nose, where he's just a tech.
Well,
I think maybe Street Justice could have been a better name.
That's terrible.
That's awful, and that sounds... That's
Seagal.
that's Die Hard status.
That's Steven
Street
Seagal
Justice.
bad shit. Bad.
But he's handing out Street Justice.
What if they just called it One Day a Real Rain Will Come?
That'd be better.
Vito.
Well, if you're going to say Scorsese, I think the fact that he has to explain in Goodfellas why it's called Goodfellas.
Well, there's the thing here. The name of that was supposed to be Wise Guys, which would be perfect, but they did that stupid comedy like 2 years before, Wise Guys.
Oh, so that's why they had to have that scene.
Yeah, they had to switch the name.
Because they're good fellas.
Right. And by the way, I don't think any Italians ever said, hey, this guy's a good fella. Don't worry about it. He'll kill you. He's a good fella.
You know, the good fellas.
Yeah.
All right, mine was a movie that I actually avoided for a long time because the title bothered me so much. It is a movie called Ain't Them Body Saints. And this is a Casey Affleck joint. Ben Foster is in it.
It's a good movie.
It's a fantastic movie, but the second the movie ended, I was like, why did they put that? Like, I had to look it up, and it was just like some random,
a poem or something?
yeah, like some random line of a poem that no one references at any, but like, it's not something that flows off the tongue, nor is it like really even a sentence. There's nothing in it that seems like Ain't
Reservoir Dogs was the same way. There was no reservoir. There was no dogs. They weren't a gang called the Reservoir Dogs. But it was from something else that he was into.
And then
you get that in your head and you're like, I'm going to stay with it.
But then at least have a reference to it.
I refuse to. Ain't them body saints, huh? They really is.
Sir, why are you talking like that?
Jen.
I hate a movie with like a question. Like I remember when I was gonna go see Guess Who, and like all my friends like, well, what are you gonna see? And I have to be like, it's the movie Guess Who instead of saying Guess Who, because then they'd be like, what do you mean Guess Who? Like I just hate a movie with a question.
You did not want to be that person that they're like, I don't want to guess.
What
Just tell me.
What about Are We There Yet? Exactly. Like that's another one. That's really stupid.
I never thought about that. The questions bother you because sometimes I like weird names to a title something. I mean, because then you can break it down. Like no one ever says One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You say Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
But the title that goes on like that, I dig it. It's very Fiona Apple. That is a long title.
One that used to bug me was Existence or Existence because I didn't know how to say it. And it was very confusing how, like, I would just like, you know that movie.
Yeah.
Where they got the pod in the body.
You know. I love that movie. It's fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah, that movie
has
was...
nothing to do with the title though, Chris.
I always thought Indiana Jones, any of them were ridiculous, and also the name Indiana Jones is just fucking terrible.
Well, what's the name of the first one?
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Nope, that's the second one.
That's wrong.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, so there's no Indiana Jones in the first one. So it's just Raiders of the Lost Ark is the way that came out. And then they had to think, okay, what is the name of the series? It can't be the Raiders of the Lost Ark series. There's only one Lost Ark. So that's when they add it.
Right.
After the fact, the Indiana Jones. It's like they do with James Bond. It's not, it's really Diamonds Are Forever, not James Bond's Diamonds Are Forever. Diamonds are forever. Are they? Because I feel like I could crush one with a hammer. I'm going to be totally honest. I'll turn that into diamond dust.
Goldfinger.
Ooh. Look at that finger. It's golder than fuck.
Those are like the best songs. I've never seen a James Bond.
Favorite.
I've never seen a James Bond movie, but I love all the songs from them.
You
only live twice.
Yeah, you fucking spy. My favorite of all the James Bond songs has always been The Spy Who Loved Me, just for the line, but like heaven above me, the spy who loved me is keeping all my secrets safe tonight. I'm like, that was a hard sell.
It was not easy, but they
like heaven above me, the spy who loved me. He's like this. I'm in a stupid fucking movie.
What about movies where they never say the title? Like, for example, Meatballs. There's no purpose.
Meatballs.
Other than
That's
there's a song
title.
in it called Meatballs. There's no meatballs in it. No one eats meatballs.
No. I think Meatballs is supposed to be like, hey, you're a meatball. But then they weren't even Italian. They were Canadians.
Are they the meatballs? Like, much like a Beatle, would you say like, oh yeah, he was a meatball.
He was a real meatball, this one.
He's one of the CITs. So pity him.
What would have been wrong with calling it the CITs? Or summer camp? Or, Bill Murray's fun time. By the way,
I like that.
So the thing is called Meatballs, and if you ever look at the poster, it's Bill Murray cartoon with these two giant titted people next to him, and you're like, that didn't take place.
No.
They make it look like a sex comedy.
In fact, he kind of had a girlfriend in it and was quite smitten with her. He was not out grabbing ass and
she was flat chested, right?
Yeah,
nothing like this,
and quite boyish.
Yeah, she was somewhat boyish, and quite frankly, they were both immature in their sexual advances of each other.
Hold on,
it was more about wrestling. It was like 8th graders.
Yeah. Now here's something I never noticed. Mm-hmm. So yes, there's these two sexy broads, but they're lifting up his shirt to show his abs
he
does not have in that film. Yeah. I know that he does not have ripped abs.
Meatballs.
Meatballs.
I got more meatballs.
Meatballs.
Tight abs.
Really trying to sell this film. When did we go away from
I'm going to watch that.
Big tits.
Yeah.
Big tits.
Natural tits.
Oh my God, did you guys love tits in the 80s?
We were crazy about tits and embarrassed nude females.
Yeah.
That was the highlight for ENF.
I'm exposed.
Yes.
And everyone's like, yeah.
We just poured down the shower curtain. Hey guys, come with me. We're going to spy on the girls as they're pissing.
I'm in.
Oh my God.
Oh, Chris.
Why? What did I say?
That's disgusting. You said
in the 80s. In the 80s.
God, you're sick.
Am I?
Yeah. You're a pederast.
I'm not a pedophile.
Yeah, but you say so many things that seem like that.
You're creepy. Here we were having a nice conversation about ill-named movies.
Yes. Yeah.
Lethal Weapon is a ridiculously named movie. He's not a lethal weapon, and no one said he was.
And
he's carrying a lethal weapon.
Yeah, is it in reference to his gun?
Now I'm going to give you...
Which is no more lethal than any other.
Yeah. Do you think The Godfather is a good or bad movie title?
I'm going to call it a good movie title.
You liked it.
I like that it puts The Godfather as the centerpiece, and yet you realize, the shift of The Godfather and the passing of time. That, I think, is
And
a good
it
title.
ends with him becoming the Godfather?
Yes. I think that it is a perfectly titled movie.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good for everybody then. Good for a song.
Meatballs. Meatballs.
Big balls.
Big balls.
Thick balls.
I mean, when are we going to go through that phase? Like the 80s were about tits. That now it's about the ass. Let's have a ball time.
The male cock is supposed to be the most hilarious thing in the world. By the way, as opposed to the female cock. But now there's always a reason that some guy has his cock out in a comedy and we're all supposed to laugh.
You're right. That is becoming more frequent in the way that in the 80s it always confused me that there were full frontal of women that there was no reason for it. Like there's like a couple comedies what was like a recent one that did it? Was it
penis or just frontal female?
Oh my God.
You know what a male cock is.
I
mean,
Good God.
Said male
You're
cock.
an embarrassment.
No, I'm confused if we're talking about female frontal or...
No, we're talking about male frontal
Talking about
nudity.
dicks.
Well, the first initial one was Sarah Marshall, I think, kicked everything off.
Yeah, that was the one I was trying to think. For some reason I was thinking it was knocked up, but I think that's a vagina, actually.
I'm going to say also it was the tiny little penis in the Zach Galifianakis movie.
Hangover.
Yeah.
Ken Jeong.
Yeah, Ken Jeong had just this ridiculously small, tiny, almost frightening penis.
Yeah.
That got a major fucking laugh. The fact that Jen is laughing at a small penis is sad. By the way, I saw Yamanika working not too long ago. I don't want to steal her bit, but I just have to tell you because it's so great. She says you should feel sorry for women because we got to keep the same face every time we see a first-time penis. She can't let her expression change, like she's not overly disappointed. And I was like in the back, fucking laughing. I'm like, yeah, that is something you better fucking keep an eye on. You don't want to go, what? Huh? Is there any more dick? Was that
just the idea of I'm just going to stare it down. I'm not going to blink an eye.
One day I was having lunch with Chris Stanley. It was, you know how me and Chris, when we're alone, there's just zero talking. It's almost embarrassing. So we're 40 minutes, right, into a 1 hour lunch. And no one had said anything the entire time. We're just both eating. And then he looks up at me and he just says this. He goes, I'm a grower, not a shower. I don't want you even to tell me that.
Well, I was thinking about it in my mind as I was eating. And then I thought I'd share that because, it was just you and I at the time. I didn't think you'd share it with everyone else, but yeah. I don't know. I had a date.
You don't want me to share that?
I mean, it was just, and I said, please, this is between you and I at the time.
I wasn't even paying attention to
and
that
I had
part.
a date that night, so
Why did you think that he needed to know this information?
I just like to let Ron know things.
All I did is take my plate and throw it in.
It was embarrassing.
Well, I won't be
like
needing this.
And I go, and you're paying. Chris, aren't you supposed to be giving me some money from fucking stuff
That comes in next week.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the way it's fucking played? Because I'm going to tell you something right now. I'll shoot you right in the neck.
Everyone's getting paid, don't worry.
He goes, hey, this is all going to be expensed. What good is it if it's 7 weeks away?
Yeah.
You owe me $16,000.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Chris,
That expense
what did you
report wasn't
guys
for that
buy?
much. We bought a couple used cars.
You guys didn't want to take cabs in Houston.
We do a thing where we like to do demolition derby, we call it. We get some used cars and we just smash them against each other.
It's so fun.
So one of us loses. And then the other person has to say, come get my junky car and we'll go back now.
Don, you said this was part of our per diem.
Mm-hmm. That's my per diem, right?
Nobody touches that. It's my per diem. Just don't open the envelope. Oh, all right. I love that moment.
Tape.
He's just getting the tape out and slowly taping his envelope.
Nothing is worse than when someone acts like they're stopping what they're doing, but they make it more awkward. When it was just my dad's 90th birthday, and we started to do speeches for him as we were getting the food, and one of the kids was getting coleslaw and then just hung over the table like they were going to move, even though we had to go through 30 people to do speeches.
One of my favorite moments of that is like the look on certain people's faces when they realize everyone's giving a speech. Because some people are very uncomfortable in the speech situation.
Well, the reason why I kept it going is I wasn't crazy about my own speech, but then I thought, if I make everyone else do it, I'll still finish in the top 10%. They'll be like, you know what, Ron wasn't so bad.
It wasn't a bad speech. Yeah. Our have you ever been asked to give a speech at an event, a birthday?
God, no.
Why don't you do this? Why don't we all lift our glasses and you make a toast to me like this was my special day.
Oh, this is great.
All right. Excuse me, everyone. I'd like to say a few words about.
Hey, Chris wants to talk. This guy.
This isn't starting off very well.
Do it for real.
Okay, all right. Excuse me, everyone, please.
Would you please stop with that part?
I just want to make sure everyone's paying attention.
Would you? You're now ruining my special day.
Ron, this is your special day. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart.
You wouldn't say that, would you?
From the bottom of my heart.
No, I want you to say it correct.
Be real.
If it was real, you wouldn't say from the bottom of your heart. What do you give me a speech in 1947?
Ron Bennington.
Aggressive. We haven't got back into character. Everyone raise your glasses again.
Everyone raise your glasses. Seriously, everyone raise your glasses. So this man, Ron Bennington, who I've known for a decade and who I love more than anything. And I want to say he's the most talented, beautiful bastard I've ever seen.
Bastard?
Is that a good thing?
Where's this familiarity that you're going to be a bastard? There's nothing I hate more than...
I don't know where that came from.
Let me just say something about this jagoff over here, man. This goddamn, he's stealing money from the company. Come on, dude, give me a real...
I take that back, Ron Bennington. The bastard part, no.
All right, just start over.
Okay.
We'll all
make it a good speech.
I want to make it a good speech. Attention, everyone. Everyone here gathered for Ron's special day.
Special day.
Look, this man's special day is here, and we're going to fucking celebrate it.
No cursing.
Not for this special day.
Again, he feels he needs to create a world. He's like in style. He's like, in this particular circumstance, we're styling, profiling for the special day.
For Ron's special day? Hell yeah.
All right, just forget the special day. Just speak from the heart and don't say anything like a man that I love more than anything else in the world.
I love you.
You treat me like
more than anything in the world, as you said. More than anything.
The rest of you people look at the world. You don't love it as much as I do, Ron Bennington.
Now you're being silly instead of being serious.
I am being serious.
I want it to be a serious, non-shitty fucking speech.
Why would I want to give a shitty speech?
I don't know why you're doing it though, Chris.
That hurts my feelings because I want to.
You just said I love him more than anything else in the whole world. That's what you said to your mom or your girlfriend. You don't say it to a guy you work with.
This isn't a proposal.
Okay.
Let's face it, you wouldn't piss on me if I was on fire.
If you were on fire, I would both piss on you and then I would get water to fucking, once the piss didn't work. I mean, assuming I had enough piss inside of me and I wasn't close to water. God. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to get this fire out. What are you laughing at, Vito? You would never be asked to speak on Ron's special day.
You know what? I'm going to give it to Vito. Vito, I want you to make the speech about me.
You don't have to get up.
He got up.
It means more.
This is bullshit, Ron.
All right, imagine a clinking glass.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's beautiful.
Come on. Glad everybody can make it out here today.
Just get to this.
We're all here for Ron's special day.
Rip me off, Ron.
What is this day?
It's special, Gail.
I know a lot of you traveled real far. And I'm glad to see all these faces that I haven't seen in a while. Chris.
What year is this occurring in?
Well, we all know why we're here. It's for Ron. I want to say cheers to the man who brings life.
What the fuck?
Thank you, Vito.
Seriously.
It's so true, though. I mean, I work so hard to bring life to everybody and finally be noticed for it.
It's your special day.
Yeah, it's my special day.
I try to get a special day speech out there.
Shut up!
Wow, fucked up. Ronnie's ruining your special day.
You called me a no good bastard.
You called him a bastard.
Term of endearment.
A beautiful bastard.
Well, that was unbelievably uncomfortable.
That was...
Everyone, please look at me. Instead of, you make it seem like you couldn't get the attention.
You're like, please. At one point he said, raise your glasses, I'm serious.
Do it.
You're aggressive even in this circumstance.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Let's just hope his speech skills are grower, not a shower.
Are you making a speech for Zito?
Oh.
I was told I'm not allowed to.
What?
When is his wedding?
You don't trust me. It is the week after Moon Tower.
Is that right?
Yeah. The week after Moon Tower.
But we better look into that being a vacation week then.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be going, what, half the week?
Half the week, yeah. Because I'll be out in St. Martin, the island of St. Martin.
That's nice.
I believe it's a Dutch island.
Yeah.
I'm not good in the sun, don't swim, so this should be fun.
We had thought about getting you swimming lessons before you go. I think.
Dude, you want to do that? You want us to get you swimming lessons?
I'll show off some swimming lessons at the wedding? Sure, yeah.
And that way you're able to snorkel?
Oh, that'd be great.
By the way, you're not going to show off some swimming lessons.
Hey guys, guess what I learned?
Swim.
Let's show that shit off, Gail.
Everyone, look at me. He's just doggy paddling in the shallow end.
Look! You're not looking.
Who's the girl you're going to be with?
I'm not sure. Oh, wait, no. A friend of his wife's, this girl, Kate.
So you guys are paired up walking down the aisle together?
You get a picture of her?
I don't think so. I'll get one, though. I'll get one.
I'd love to take a look.
And you know what you're wearing? What kind of tux?
Yeah, I had to go get fitted for a tux, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's a fucking nightmare.
What's the color?
Black.
Yeah, but what's like the,
I'll get it. I don't know.
Are they getting married on the beach?
They're either getting buried on a beach or a pier.
You just said buried.
They're not going to be buried on the beach.
Who's going to get buried on a pier?
I think they're going to get buried on the pier line. It's probably going to be a burial.
Everybody listen up. We're here on this pier for one moment.
It's a very special pier.
Hey, people, listen.
If you would just peer over your glasses.
Chris, I'm asking about the accent color, like a pocket square.
As far as I know, there's no pocket square.
What are the ladies wearing? What are the...
Yeah.
I have no idea what the ladies
you
are
got
wearing.
it.
I'll find these
Come
details.
on, this
Where'd
is
you go?
important
Where'd you
stuff.
get your tux?
Men's Warehouse, one block over.
Not big and tall?
Warehouse. Men's Warehouse has a big and tall section.
Oh, good.
Yeah, all right.
By the way, there's never been one tall person. Do you have any stuff for tall people? Not really. You're the first that showed up here.
Usually the clothing companies are comfortable with tall people.
Yeah. It should just be called stouts. That's great.
Yeah.
Chris, that's great.
It'll be an exciting wedding, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get you a couple swimming lessons in, because I'm worried about you out there.
Yeah, no, I could fall into the ocean. God knows.
I could fall into the ocean.
What? Let's say that wrong.
You don't fall off an island, dude. You dive into the ocean.
Got it.
You don't like he was standing on the beach and fell in.
This is good for me when I'm on the island. I won't say these things then. I can say them now, get it out of the way.
A friend of mine fell into the ocean. He's just standing on the beach. Slipped and fell directly into the ocean.
Poor bastard.
Jen, do you swim?
I don't.
You don't swim at all?
I never learned how.
You're an island girl.
So maybe I'll go with Chris.
Do you ride a bike?
I know how to ride a bike. Yeah.
How could someone... Vito, you swim, right?
I'm a great swimmer.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he just likes to brag. Throw it in my
I'm a great
face.
swimmer. I'm a great bike rider.
This is part of your speech, I hope. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can get your attention. I'm a great swimmer and bike rider.
What's that?
I could ride a bike into a pool and swim to the other side. Well, anyway, that's what I think are ill-named movies. Let's take a break here, shall we, Christopher? And congratulations on you. You're going to this of a lovely goddamn party. Now, who are you flying down with?
By myself.
Oh.
Wind up by myself.
It seems like the wedding party should be flying
Yeah,
down.
like party plane.
They're getting there earlier. I don't know what's going on.
Why are they getting there earlier? We just said we'd take the vacation week for you.
Switch your flight.
Maybe should I switch the flight then?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
switch
go with
flight.
the party crew.
Hey, everybody, it's Crazy Chris.
Oh, yeah.
I'm our fun guy.
Where the liquor at, yo?
Wagging his dick on the plane.
It's gonna be 8 fucking crazy days. And what's your girl's name that you're gonna be with?
Kate.
Chris and Kate.
Yeah, Chris and Kate, yeah.
You think this could turn into something serious?
I believe she has a boyfriend, but I wouldn't, be opposed to breaking up the relationship.
You're not opposed to a 3-way either.
No,
Even
hell
if
no.
it ends up with you with a big fucking hairy set of fucking nuts in your mouth.
I mean, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that.
Don't be fucking homophobic, Chris.
I don't want to suck any balls.
Big balls.
Big ball, Chris sucks.
Big balls.
And you can get your asshole fingered by its happening.
Is it her or him?
Think of that, did you, Chris?
Let's break, Chris. You turned this into another disgusting fucking pederast.
What? This is all people of age, consenting adults. There's no children involved.
Right back, Bennington. It's the Bennington Show coming up. It's Unmasked with Paul Schaefer and your chance to win a signed poster, an exclusive Unmasked poster that Paul Schaefer signed for us. I think you're really going to enjoy this one too.
Yeah, this was an excellent one. I was so looking forward to it, and I had a blast in there.
Well, I don't know if you could have a better career than Paul Schaefer has.
No, it's such a phenomenal, like the amount that he has done, the people he's worked with, if you line them all up, it's like a lifetime of work is just...
Well, he's there in the early days of SNL, actually even with those folks, and, friends for 40 plus years with Marty Short and those kind of brilliant people. They're at the beginning of the Letterman show and ran all the way through, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame from the beginning, the musical director for that.
Now, do you think you have a career like this and you look back on it? Is there any way to even understand what that sounds like to anyone else? Because he's been doing it for so long. This isn't like somebody who had 1 or 2 high points of his career. Do you think that at any point, somebody who started young with these phenomenal experiences could ever get the grasp?
No, because I think he's a working musician more than anything else. You know what I mean? So that's a lot different than we had 3 albums that sold multi-platinum or whatever. But in my opinion, I'd rather have had Paul Schaefer's life and career than Michael Jackson's life and career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, there is
Michael Jackson.
I mean, fuck that dude. I mean, he's getting too much cred these days. No, but like, that's the thing is there is something that happens with somebody's success where it gets out of your own hands. You have no control over it. It's like a monster you've created.
Right. But that thing of you get to work with everybody. And I was thinking the other day, I was just watching that Future Islands.
Yeah.
When they were on Letterman.
Yeah.
And it was like, you were there for that great performance. You know what I mean? I bring up that I always remember when REM, the first time I saw REM.
Yeah.
And they didn't have it, they were like, this is a song, we don't have a title for it yet. And it was South Central Rain. And to me, you were sitting there, and when I brought it up to Paul, you'll hear it in the MS, he's like, like you could see that I said this unbelievable moment happened. And he's like, yeah. You know, because he's done it. What, 5,000 times?
Yeah, I love that Future Islands moment because it really did feel like a real moment between Dave and Paul where he's just like, do you like that, Paul? And he's like, yeah, buddy. Like, he was like, I was like, I think Dave really liked this.
I know. And then he had him back on like a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
All right, so your chance to get the signed unmasked poster. You know, this is actually a unique thing to have if you have a friend or whatever that you like to win it for. It's the super tweets. You got to be a first responder, and we've got that all up on the Bennington Show Twitter right now.
And at Paul Schaefer, at Paul Schaefer.
Get
at
on
Paul
it.
Schaefer and at Bennington Show, or else we won't see it.
Yeah.
All right, Vito, you had something that's you said was on your, and you said pea-sized brain. I don't know what you mean by pea-sized brain.
Well, I got home the other night from a bar, and I get home, and on the TV is Space Jam. And I decided that's what I was going to watch as I fell asleep. And I forgot that the movie had my first crush as a child. And it was the animated character.
Jordan?
Lola Bunny.
You had a crush on a cartoon character?
On a cartoon. I think Lola Bunny was this cartoon character in the movie that when I was a kid, I was like, oh, that's like what a woman is, even though it was a bunny rabbit.
First of all, it's fucking Bugs Bunny, and that's it.
That's Bugs Bunny when she dressed up like a lady.
Dude, that's Lola. She had a great body, nice set of hips. And as a kid, I was like, man, she plays basketball. She's cool. She's giving Bugs some shit.
How old were you?
Well,
you know that you can't date a cartoon.
But I was like 4 or 5, and I was just like,
Okay.
she is beautiful.
All right, I'll give it to you then.
And I know everybody talks about Jessica Rabbit, and everybody's all about the Disney princesses, but I don't think any cartoon character has anything on Lola Bunny.
Okay, that's disgusting, Chris. Where did you find that picture? I doubt that's from the movie.
It's a somewhat sexualized Lola Bunny.
Spread eagle.
She's pretty sexualized to begin with, though.
She is Bugs Bunny. I will say,
It's Bugs Bunny.
I kind of remember having a similar kind of crush when I was a kid, though, because I remember really having a crush on Robin Hood, but it was like, you know, the animated one where he's a fox.
Yeah.
But it was like, in my mind, I was like, if only I could be a fox. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't trying to have a
bestiality the way
No!
Vito was.
In my mind, I too was a fox, and I was like, ugh.
No, I was a human. I was the Jordan person where I was a human in the Looney Tune world.
All right, now
Disgusting.
the one that I was thinking of, we just saw her the other day, but I knew that she was a human that was put in cartoon form, and that was the great Anne Margrock
Yes.
on the Flintstones.
Very foxy.
Yes.
And much more understandable than our bestiality choices.
Yes.
She was a beautiful rabbit, and you guys...
She is Bugs Bunny, dude.
Bugs Bunny
There's
didn't have
no
hips
different.
like that. Bugs Bunny did not have hips like that. Bugs Bunny didn't have an easy C cup.
Literally the same hips as Bugs Bunny.
And Margrock is pretty hot.
Let's see.
Well, she looks like Aunt Margaret. It's perfect.
Well, and she also was very girl next door.
Yeah.
You know?
Obtainable.
Yes, she was. Very obtainable. I mean, you just happened to come across it.
Now, BuzzFeed would tell you that I should be dating Aladdin. I've taken the quiz several times, and he is my hookup, my cartoon hookup.
All right, let me go to Jen for this.
Okay.
Jen, did you have a cartoon crush?
I had a woman one and a male one.
First of all, this is
The Platikins.
what do you... Go on. All right, let's go to your woman one first.
Well, the woman, I've always admired Jasmine from Aladdin.
All
Or
right.
Pocahontas.
All right, now let's see Jasmine from Aladdin.
She's very curvy.
Yeah, she was very sexy, and
All
she
right,
was...
Jen could play her in the movie.
You like you, Jen. That's what you like.
Aladdin has the most attractive cartoon cast, maybe. The tiger was pretty handsome.
Oh my God.
And he was just a regular tiger. He wasn't a human-like tiger.
Vito, I implore you to stop while you're behind. The most attractive cast of any cartoon. All right, so
I think what makes Jasmine so sexy is like how comfortable she looks. Like
Yeah.
it's like she's always in jammies.
yeah, but she's also a little angry in that picture.
Yeah, she's not a prize to be
It's
won.
like sexy angry.
Yeah.
You know?
We call that crazy pussy in the cartoon business. All right, now your male crush.
Peter Pan.
All right.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. Although, the whole thing about Peter Pan is he's not in his sexual years yet.
Yeah, he is. But I guess if you're young, he's going to seem very manly to you. Like if you're a little kid.
I find him to be quite immature.
I've always thought it was weird because like I feel like I relate more to Pan.
Yeah.
But maybe that's because I constantly stand like Peter Pan. I have that, people like pointed this out, like, you stand like Peter Pan. I'm constantly in Peter Pan stance.
But do you know that, like, in the history of the live performances of Peter Pan, it's always been petite girls playing him, which is really, well, it's progressive, isn't it? It's very fluid.
Yes. And like, I guess there was like, obviously they're gonna look younger, like a little boy, but just easier to get up on those strings. You know, like a bulky, like a awkward male. But that's another thing. Boys at that age are usually, their voices are changing. Yeah. So you're catching them at a rough age for singing.
That's true. Where the girl, their voice has already changed. By the way, I don't know whether you guys know this, but Vito used to jerk off to the crocodile from Peter Pan.
Oh, wow. Very well. Tinkerbell was very attractive too, but the whole being a small fairy thing was kind of a turnoff. I'd rather the human like
You would like to see Tinkerbell on the end of your cock?
I would prefer Lola.
I feel like that's what all human women look like to you, Vito.
All right, we haven't gone to a guy who grew up on hentai and
Ooh, love
Japanese. What do you call it? Japanime?
It could be called Japanime or hentai anime, but hentai specifically.
I'm going to say this right now. I don't think anyone calls it Jap anime. Like, dude. I feel really Japanimation, anime. I've never heard Jap anime.
You're not in my circles, Gail.
Dude.
It's true. You said something racist.
It's very uncomfortable.
Japanimation, not Jap anime. Jap is considered a slur.
I like those Jap cartoons. What? What, dude?
I'll tell you the Gook cartoon that I like most of all.
Chris!
It's fucking racism, dude.
I don't want to come off as a racist.
You always do.
You are a racist.
100%.
It's not how you come off that matters.
And then, like, I like that not only did he say it, but he's like, a lot of people call it Jap anime. Like, no. Like,
not everyone does.
You listed that as a possible...
People in the scene. But that was in high school. All that hentai stuff, that's when I discovered it and just became obsessed with, watching hentai. As a child, in the 80s, there were two female characters. One, Baroness from G.I. Joe. And she was she was very, very sexy.
We're going to take a look at the Baroness from G.I. Joe.
I mean, I had a thing for this broad.
Let me see this. All right, she's very latexy, right?
Yeah. And she also has glasses and black hair. She's almost like a Suicide Girl. It's very sexy.
Very librarianish.
Yeah. I loved it.
In the picture you just showed me.
I think she was the sexiest. And then there was Chitara from Thundercats, who was also like a Catwoman, but also very sexy Catwoman.
Do you like playing kitty cat with your girls? You like putting cat ears on them and
I think it's sexy.
Drawing whiskers on their face?
I think an adult woman dressed as a cat is so sexy.
She just looks like the person that's saying memories in Cats.
Man, you know what? He's hard on you.
He really
You opened up and shared stuff about yourself.
I just want to share and let people know the things that I like when I was a kid. And still maybe to this day.
Now, let's also take a moment to this. So when Vito brought this up, we all thought that he was stupid, ridiculous, and yet all of us came up with examples of cartoons that turned us on.
Vito brings us up, we're like, can't wait to beat the shit out of him. No, he's got a good point. I mean, that bunny's not bad. She's very curvy.
That's what I'm trying to say to you guys. Not like this freak at this cheetah girl thing.
Now, who was your favorite tentacle porn girl? Did you have a lady?
Blue Girl was the classic hentai. That opened my eyes to the world of hentai pornography.
I think that's Blow Girl, not Blue Girl.
It's past tense. She'd already done the deed.
What's wrong?
I'm not coming over to the screen because I just saw Vito's eyes get very large.
Blocking.
The tentacle thing is really gross.
It's weird. And going back to Jen's Jasmine, I remember the early days of the internet. it was very popular for people to like draw Jasmine getting like having hardcore sex.
You know, this was something that was like really creepy to me because like I remember being a little kid and then like you would look up cartoons that you like and for some reason they were always in really like I've seen The Simpsons do some shit I did not want to fucking see The Simpsons do.
Simpsons incest has got to be the number one thing on the internet.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Simpsons and Family Guy, they just like showing the family members just go nuts with each other.
And they're like, why so much Bart and Marge? Like, why so much Bart and Marge?
The ultimate taboo.
See a lot more Lisa. Lisa and Marge? Would that make you feel better? Or Lisa and Homer?
Less uncomfortable. I don't know. It's just something about the Bart and Marge ones really freaked me out.
I think the Brady incest works because it's step incest, which is porn comfortable. You know what I mean? That's porn comfortable.
I think that's totally fair. And in fact, you know, I mean, look, there's a lot of things like, I think they use that as an excuse. Like sometimes you'll see like, there's like a step thing that happens in a movie and you're like, were you not able to commit to the real thing? And that's why you made
Step
this
Lolita
premise.
is the name of a movie coming out.
That's good.
Like Tenenbaums, I was like, was that really your original idea? Was that she was adopted? I don't know. Or are you just trying to make it more palatable for the rest of us?
By the Tannenbaum seems like it's just a rip-off of the Glass family, right?
What's that?
With the stuff that, because I had brought up about, what's his name from Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, yeah.
He did the Glass family stuff.
Yeah.
And it's child geniuses, blah, blah. Don't you think Tannenbaums is?
Yeah, I think it is definitely a nod to that. The child genius of an affluent family.
A nod or just a complete rip-off, Wes Anderson?
Fucking hack.
I thought you loved them.
He just wanted to follow me
I know.
down.
And in fact, I've heard him cite that's his deal breaker thing. His ultimate deal breaker is not liking the Tenenbaums, as he once screamed out during a Dan Perlman show.
Hindsight. It was hindsight. I was a little liquored up, okay?
Dude,
I was just trying to be a good member of the audience.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Like, it was the first time we had ever gone to his show. It's a great show, hindsight. And, so Dan says to me beforehand, hey, I know that you're bringing Chris, but like, could you just make sure he will be cool? And I have to say, why would you say something like that? Like, look, Chris is in the biz. He's in the business we call show. Immediately 30 seconds into the show, I regretted everything.
The fact that Chris takes that okay, because if you said, hey, Dan wanted me to make sure, Ron, that you were cool during his show, that would be it between me and Dan.
Yeah.
I would never be friends with him again.
Yeah.
Because I would have been that insulted. To this moment, Chris is not insulted by the request.
No, because it was true. Because it ended up being true. It literally was one of those things there was no air from when he said it. Billy Prince opens out to the audience. Anybody have a circumstance where you would have, and Chris is like, me? And I'm like, why you? We have an audience full of people. We personally know these people. They don't need your help, Chris.
Chris, there's an audience full of people, and none of them are as dumb as you.
And then his answer was so dull. Like, I thought for sure that he must have some amazing response or something silly. And then he's just like, if they didn't like Wes Anderson, I would break up with them.
Didn't have a response.
I feel like you shouldn't be talking to booking agents on our behalf. I think it's too embarrassing.
I'm sober when I do that. So it's fine.
All right. So I was thinking about this the other day. What to you is the absolute worst pet name, a term of endearment that freaks you out? The worst term of endearment.
All right, I mean, first thing that came into my mind, I don't like when people call each other poopy. I just don't like it. Come here, poopy.
Hi, poops.
That's disgusting, am I right? I mean, you wouldn't call someone pissy or cummy or snotty. Why is poopy okay?
Yeah, poopy and poopsy, I'm gonna put in the same
disgusting
category
as shitty.
Look, I would say aside from some of the standard pet names, if you have an extra special pet name for like that you and your partner share, that's private.
Like, I should know what friends of mine have as pet names for their partner. Like, I have a friend who, like, for whatever reason, their thing is Bebby, and everyone knows it, and then people use it outside. Like, oh, did you ask Bebby? Like, I'm like, no, I don't know what that means. I don't know why everyone knows it, but they only refer to each other as Bebby.
That's
weird.
Thing for baby?
It's like baby, but like maybe a slightly Jewish accent. I don't know. I don't really understand.
Check and see if your baby wants to go out to dinner with us.
Bebby! And then...
You might as well call your lover Gurion.
And I tell you this, and I almost don't blame her. I have another friend who we're having dinner with each other, and she said, okay, like we went on vacation, we stayed at this really beautiful hotel, it was so nice. And then my friend said to her, oh, so you had a little Bebby time. And I was like, that's on you now. Like, you're speaking their language, and you're grosser than she is, and that's bizarre.
Did you take your poopy with you?
I should not know.
So yours is Bebby.
Bebby, because it's personal.
Mine is poopy. Vito, we're on to you.
I've heard people call each other cupcake for a few years now, and I don't like it. One, because I've heard men call each other that as a term as you're effeminate. So when
how are you, cupcake?
When I hear a couple saying cupcake to each other,
I think cupcake is too long.
Yeah, this needs to be short.
I think it'd be better if you just called her pastry.
Because cupcake's not even one of the top ones. There's sweeter things in cupcakes. If we're going by...
You're just dumb when you're trying... I mean, you had yourself done.
I got way too into it.
We agreed with you. Cupcake wasn't great.
So now that here you take this into banana bread talk is ridiculous.
Banana bread would be nice.
Let's go to Jen. Jen, what do you hate to hear them call each other?
Well, I hate when, like, girls call their boyfriend Zaddy. Like, for some reason, it really bothers me.
Zaddy?
Like, Zaddy with a Z.
What is Zaddy with a Z?
I've never heard this before.
It's so annoying. I don't know where it came from, but it's like a thing. Like, I remember when Tiana Taylor called Zayn Zaddy, like, on stage when she was giving him the award, like, Zaddy Zayn, and I was like, oh my god, you're just starting it up more.
And then you guys heard Zaddy?
I've heard Zams, like Zam Zaddy, that's been a big thing.
Like,
Zam Zaddy.
I officially feel really old. Like, this is that thing that happens when you're like, that cannot be a thing. No one's saying Zam Zaddy. Nobody's saying Zaddy.
Yeah, it's happening.
Zam Zaddy!
I've only heard Zam Zaddy. I've never heard just Zaddy. I've heard like Zam Zaddy and Zaddy come here. Like, it's never just like Zaddy on its own. It's always Zaddy in a...
Wait, what do you mean Zaddy come here?
Like, it's never just like, ooh, Zaddy. It's like, Zaddy, get over here, Zaddy.
That would be it. That's Zaddy.
That's called a sentence, Vito. Yes, it's used in a sentence.
My point was nobody just says Zaddy by itself.
You hear people just yelling daddy by themselves?
All the time. I've been in malls.
That's children actually looking for their own parent.
I am so freaked out by Zam Zaddy.
Yeah. I think Zaddy is it ruins the daddy thing.
Yeah. Is it like, are you not able to commit to daddy?
Right.
I don't get it. And everybody's saying it, and like girls will write on their post for Valentine's Day, like, you know, oh, my zaddy just gave me this. And I'm like, I can't.
So like sugar daddy? Is that what it means?
No, it's like their real boyfriend. Like,
Chris, don't try.
Chris,
I'm trying to understand.
How are you just waking up to this now, and you just figured out it had to do with daddy?
Look, we all figured daddy.
No, but like specifically a zaddy, like you shouldn't say it's like slang for a sugar daddy specifically.
But
like
what's
zaddy?
Well, what else? It's never going to be for a father.
My mom and my zaddy.
All right, Vito, you might not be the dummy here, and I thought that was a lockdown.
Oh my god.
So Zaddy, Zam Zaddy.
Zam Zaddy. I don't know. Like, that's like what.
By the way, that's short for sugar daddy.
Now I get it.
I don't know if it's...
Zaddy's the winner for me right now.
I don't know if I, like, love it or hate it. Like, am I just gonna fully embrace Zam Zaddy?
Let it play for a while.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna try it out on my way home.
And Chris,
Zaddy?
tonight I want you to put it in your porn search.
Got it. Done and done.
Can I say Zaddy-o?
Yeah.
Just if I want to make it like a hep cat.
Yeah. Instead of your normal porn search, hairy assholes for men.
Not hairy enough. I need more.
Sam Zaddy.
Sam Zaddy, that's a hairy asshole.
All right. Now, Chris,
Yes.
your only chance to ruin this. I mean, it's going to have to be a fucking long bomb here.
I mean,
I'm not being fucking Sam Zaddy. But I did have like people in a relationship saying like calling each other sugar, and I thought that's very impersonal because I feel like a waitress calls you sugar, but not two people who are in a relationship together.
A waitress could call you honey, and that would work as well.
But I think that's too. It's not personal enough. But I felt like these two people didn't even know each other. I mean, they calling each other sugar. I'm like, come on, you do better than that.
Well, anything that we came up with, you could.
Yeah,
you know.
any of them. I mean, like, I'm sure there's always, everybody has the pet name and the term of endearment that they're comfortable using.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to say to either like a coworker you don't know very well, a waitress, what would be your go-to?
Darling.
Yeah.
I can't even break myself of it.
I say boss, or sometimes chief.
To a woman.
Yeah, I'll say it to a woman too. Yeah, a woman could be a boss.
What's up, Chief?
What's up,
I
chief?
like that he dug in. He's like, I'll say that I say boss to a woman. I'll definitely say.
You know who he calls boss is me. And that...
I call boss.
Sam Zaddy, that's like,
Then he caught himself and started saying that he calls waitresses boss, which is nuts.
they're not your boss.
But I feel like
So don't call me boss again because you make me feel like a bartender now. I don't want to hear it.
All right, chief.
I've never heard you say chief, by the way.
That's very rare.
Never
I think.
once.
No,
That's
you are
now the
making
first
these
time.
up.
That's how rare it is. You just did it.
No, years ago I called a bartender chief, and he thought
Turns out he was.
He was an Indian.
Actually Native American.
shit.
And got into quite a scrap that night.
He didn't like it. Thought it was being not nice.
All right, well, Jen won this one, and Chris lied and made his up.
Nothing is ever going to beat Sam Zaddy. My whole life has changed.
Sam, Zaddy.
Sam Zaddy. No, have you heard the Sam?
Look what my Zaddy bought me.
Zaddy gets me diamond. Zaddy gets me top.
I think they just throw away a perfectly good daddy. Which used to be the big wrestling thing. Listen up, daddy.
Yeah, Daddy
That was always the big wrestling thing.
Well, they were very into
Because they were Southerners.
family stuff.
Yeah.
Brother.
Son.
Look here, brother. When I get out of that ring, brother.
Son was one of those things that, just like I said, like, you can kind of say something as a joke until you say it so much. So it was like a thing of my group of friends that we thought it was really funny how, like, everybody, like, rappers were saying son. But then it actually got to be a serious thing where you're like, look, son, it's not okay. But at first it's like, son, everything's son. But then it takes nothing for that to become a legitimate thing.
Dude, I remember when we used to ironically and as a joke say doobage, right? Then before you know it, you're like this. Seriously, you got any doobage? Gotta smoke that doobage.
Need that doobage, son.
I say homie a lot now, just because when I was growing up, everybody said, come on, homie. And now I find myself still texting it and being like, delete that.
Okay, without bringing attention to yourself, look how next door, like we use our logo, but look what they use. They use a giant picture. That's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I know who's
That's creepy. Very
Sam
sexy.
Zaddy?
I know. It's a very zaddy look.
I feel like Zaddy likey.
Zaddy Zyke. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, it's the Unmasked with Paul Schaefer, and we're giving away a great prize.
It's a signed Paul Schaefer poster. So
From Unmasked.
From Unmasked. Tweet us at Bennington Show and also
At Paul Schaefer.
At Paul Schaefer.
Right, and you can go to our Twitter. Has it all up there, but looking forward to this, right?
Yeah. Of course we are, Zaddy-o. Trying it out.
Paul Schaefer. Now he's got a new album out and is trying to figure out how to fill his days.
But that's a cool position to be in. I think like that's a very cool thing to be like focusing on your music and like to have that stature in entertainment.
By the way, we were talking about Paul having a cool career. Everybody in the band, Willie and Anton and all those guys, they've all been with that for a long time, and they all go get, session gigs Which session gig sounds like the most fun in the world, right?
Yeah, cause like that's just like you have the skill set that people just want you, and you get to change the kind of music you're doing all the time. Like it's gotta be exhausting. Just like if you're in a band and you hit big and then you're just playing the same songs for the rest of your life.
You're in Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
On the docks.
Everybody hates it, but Billy Joel, he enjoys it.
Well, he is very much the piano man.
He is.
I think is it 48 straight months that Billy Joel has sold out the Madison Square Garden? I was hearing the thing on the radio.
I don't know. I know he's doing it every month until he doesn't sell a show out.
It won't be a problem. He'll die before he doesn't sell a show out.
That's what his plan is with that. I want to go to one of those.
Do people get like season tickets?
Somebody
let me get 10 of these.
told me that if you go to StubHub the day of, you can get them cheap.
Really?
Yeah. What you don't want to do is get them in advance.
On my birthday a few years ago, my girlfriend at the time bought us tickets to go see like some shitty Grinch musical at the Madison Square Garden Theater, and we got there and I saw everybody wearing Billy Joel shirts, and I was like, "Did you surprise me? And are we actually going to the Billy Joel concert?" And she's like, "No, Billy Joel's way too expensive, so we're just going to the Grinch." And it was really just fucking heartbreaking for me.
The fact that you're an adult and someone thought to buy you a Grinch
that says more about
show.
you than
Yeah.
It's my birthday's near Christmas, so sometimes people find it, let's make it a themed birthday thing.
No, you do that for a child. I mean, I could be born on Christmas and no one would think I'd want to go to the Grinch. All right, why don't we throw this to the Unmasked? This is really, to me, and it's something that we wanted to do for many, many years, by the way, Paul Schaefer. I mean, probably when we started Unmasked, we were like, oh, we gotta get Paul as part of this. So, we breaking first, Chris?
Let's break first.
All right, we break. We'll come back with Paul Schaefer and your chance for Super Tweets to win the signed Paul Schaefer poster from Unmasked. It's a unique, one-of-a-kind prize to win. So follow along on the Bennington Twitter with that. And we'll be right back with Paul Schaefer, Unmasked. And this is Bennington.
Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. How does somebody get to a thing like this?
Well, the thing is, all we have to do is say, Paul Schaefer is here. People come out of the woodwork.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you for being here.
The new album.
Yes.
I
love it. Thank you for showing it, holding it up. For those of you on the radio, he's holding up the CD now.
And there is still hard cut. Do you have some of these done in vinyl? Some as...
I missed the vinyl deadline, to tell you the truth.
Is that right?
Yes. You have to have it finished in order to get it pressed in vinyl earlier. And I missed that, but I said, well, even though we go back and we do pay tribute to some of the classic oldies and the stuff that inspired me, it was done state of the art now, digitally, right. So if you're working digitally, why put it on vinyl? It didn't make any sense to me anyway, so it is downloadable. CD, that's it. We are today, baby. We're today.
I'm looking through, but it's very old school. There's pictures of the band and, you've got, liner notes.
Old-fashioned liner notes like Nat Hentoff would have written for Sinatra,
right.
No, I can't remember the name of the guy on the West Coast who did those. A very famous Warner Brothers guy.
Well, Mitch Glazer, who did this, also did the Blues Brothers stuff.
This is the funny thing. Yeah. Yes, Mitch is an old friend dating back to 78. Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
First putting the band together with Belushi, and Mitch was his friend, had just written an interview with Belushi for Cream magazine.
First interview ever really on Belushi, I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And so then Mitch became a part of the Blues Brothers entourage a little bit and an inspiration for Belushi. They talked about music together, and Mitch wrote those liner notes for the first album. Well, he surfaced, I see him not seldom. He wrote Bill Murray's Christmas special for Netflix. very Merry Christmas. So I saw him then and worked closely with him then. Well, and then I hadn't seen him since until, I got an email from him. Hey, I'm surprised you didn't, ask me to write your liner notes because last ones I wrote were for the Blues Brothers. We sold 2 million. I said, well, wait, it's not too late. And it wasn't. And so I conned him into writing these two, and he did a nice job. It's cute.
Well, Mitch actually is a film writer and had a television show.
Yes, Miami, Magic City.
Magic City, which was
people
great.
Love that show.
And very, your kind of persona of when show business was really show business.
Yeah.
When Sinatra would play Miami.
Yeah.
But you, to me, what I always love about Paul Schaefer is you're a show business guy. You love show business. And the bridge for me between comedy and music. I can't think of anybody else that's been in better spots than you've been at.
I am very proud to be an American citizen now, but as you know, from Canada. And getting into getting my initial green card, which I had for years before I became a citizen, was very tough. You had to prove to the immigration department that you were not here to take away a job from an American. You were here to provide a unique specialty to the country. And I said, well, how about this? I specialize in the combination of music and comedy, where they intersect, how to provide music for comedy so that they both complement each other. And they said, well, okay, we'll buy that. And they let me into the country. And then it turned out that it was true.
It was 100% true.
Yeah, that is my specialty. Yeah. Yes, it has been for all these many years. I've been doing it 40 years.
40 years, but great career, but also a great life, because now, you grew up loving show business stories, but now you're the type of person that people tell show business stories about.
It's funny. We used to say we become what we mock. And I'm a member of a group of people that we got a lot of laughs in the 80s, and 70s, mocking and sending up the old-fashioned style of show business.
Yeah.
Your Sammy Davises, your Jerry Lewises, who used to speak, no education at all, yet they spoke almost British, they would say, with your kind permission, ladies and gentlemen, But yet we loved their talent, too.
Yeah.
That's dichotomy people don't understand. They used to accuse us, oh, you just laugh at Jerry Lewis. No, we love him.
Right.
We love his talent. He's one of the greats of comedy. But yet we like to laugh at him too, and he only appeared in the tux. You owe it to your audience, man. We loved all that stuff,
Yeah.
And then here I am, becoming the kind of guy the younger guys, absolutely. They mock the way I talk. People are saying, we owe it to our audience, like Paul Schaefer. No, wait, I'm just making fun of Jerry. Yeah, sure.
Well,
you become what we mock.
Yeah. But it was like you and Eugene Levy and Marty Short. I mean, the people that you guys were all young together became the standards for the next generation.
Sad, isn't it? It's just scary.
You talked about your hometown, which I think is one of the best rock and roll names of all time.
Thunder Bay, Ontario. Yeah.
Sounds like an AC/DC album ready to be released.
I know, and there was a movie called Thunder Bay, an old 40s movie, but I think it was about a different Thunder Bay. Maybe a Thunder Bay, Texas or something. I don't know. Yes, it's a rugged sounding name, yeah.
But you grew up show businesses someplace far away. The idea of this.
Seeing it on television, and early television at that. But we used to see the Ed Sullivan Show. We talk about it so often. It was so influential. My parents, so many Jews, even Northern Canadian Jews, loved show business too.
Right.
And watching Sullivan with them was an education. They knew everything. There's a good toupee. See that guy? Taught me to recognize a toupee and a good one, the difference between a good one and a bad one, And that was only one of the things they taught me about show business. So yes, watching it from afar, never thinking that it was a realistic ambition, too far-fetched. But going to college in Toronto and realizing there's nothing else really that I could do, I had to try it. I wasn't going to become an academic or anything. I just needed to play the piano, and when I gave it a try for a year, before the year was out, I became gainfully employed in the Toronto production of Godspell, the 70s rock musical, and I didn't have to go back to school.
Which was an amazing cast. Gilda was
only people that you mentioned, yes.
Yeah.
It was our first time in show business. Gilda Radner, Andrea Martin, the funniest maybe of them all.
Yeah.
Eugene Levy Martin Short, Dave Thomas, Victor Garber. We're all best friends still. And I got hired just like they did on audition day by Stephen Schwartz, the composer of Wicked, but at that time Godspell was his first musical, and he hired all these kids, these talented kids, put them together, and then he hired me. I came to play accompany a friend of mine who was auditioning and singing a song from his show, and he liked the way I played it, and he hired me that day to be the conductor. It's like Lana Turner at Schwab.
Yeah, it is.
It was so exciting.
Because that got you to New York, right? And which was
eventually
a dream.
I played the show for him out there for a year there, and then he said, I'll bring you to New York. In 74 he did. And I played the Magic Show at the Court Theater, 48th Street. That was my first job, really, for him. After I moved here, first I played the Public Theater for somebody else. That's how I had to one thing at a time. I think I got into the union doing that, musicians union in town. And then Schwartz got me a visa, and I was playing for him 8 shows a week on Broadway. Yes.
Yeah, we could go to that window, look down, we'd look at the Court Theater.
Wow.
Go to this other window, we'd look at the Brill Building.
Yeah.
Go to this window, and we're looking at 30 Rock.
Amazing. Wow.
Big part of your life is right here in
It's
Midtown.
so true, isn't it? I feel it. It's like we're cosmically situated.
Yeah, that's right.
Like the
here.
magnetic north or something. Yeah.
But the Brill Building, amazingly...
very inspiring for me.
Yeah.
The Brill Building period of rock and roll, specifically, when your writers like your Carole Kings, Jerry Goffins, and your Barry Mann, Cynthia Wells were writing songs like Up on the Roof and You've Lost That Love and Feeling. I don't know, that music reached me as a kid.
Yeah.
Hard. Something about the romanticism of it. It had a Latin flavor. It was sometimes it was about Spanish Harlem, and it just, New York sounded like the most romantic place. That's the place I want to be.
Right.
Yes.
And Ronnie Spector in New York, to me, might be the highlight of rock and roll and New York City at the same time.
Well, you and I share that view for sure. And when I heard her voice on American Bandstand that Saturday afternoon before going skiing, I never forget this. She sang Be My Baby on American Bandstand. Those girls with the bouffant hair, how sexy they were, and the sound of that record, it just was it was so deep. It was only mono. But, you heard New York and you heard Spanish Harlem in there in those castanets. And I heard her voice saying, Paul, come down to New York, find a girl like me. I'm here for you.
I know.
I may not be of your faith, but we will, we'll work something out,
But it's amazing because the Beatles and the Stones felt the same way. When the Beatles and Stones saw Ronnie Spector, they basically started dressing like her. You know what I mean? You look at Mick.
That's where those hairstyle came from.
Yeah, all that stuff started happening.
Explains everything. and a lot of his delivery came from the great Don Covey.
Yeah.
Who sang Have Mercy, the original R&B record. When Mick sang it, he sounded just like Covey.
But when you got here and you had a chance to go to the Brill Building and all that, you got to meet those songwriters.
One by one I met and worked with a lot of them. Yes, it was important to me. First one may have been Jeff Barry. I did a crazy TV pilot. Well, the first one was Don Kirshner, of course, the great publisher from that era, whom they all speak so highly of even today, Carole King. You inspired us, to write the songs that we did. It's unusual because he was taking all the money, but they still, speak so fondly of him. I met him and I did a TV show for him in 77 called The Year at the Top. Wasn't successful. But Jeff Barry, the co-writer of Be My Baby, produced a song for us. And at that time he had I Honestly Love You, by Olivia Newton-John. He had written that with Peter Allen, I think. And he used to send it up and make fun of it. And I said, people cry, Jeff, when they hear that song. He said, my accountant cries every time he hears it.
But and I heard you talk about this because we think of Kirshner as this kind of wooden guy. But you said off camera, he was a really hip record exec.
Well, I read about him when I was still in Canada. There's an article in Time magazine about how he has the man with the golden ear, and he picked the songs for the Monkees, and he had the writers in cubicles. He was the guy who had the cubicles with Carole King in one cubicle writing up on the roof, and the others writing "You've Lost That Love and Feeling" in a cubicle, And I auditioned for him and got a role in this show for him. You're at the Top. And he would hype me all the time because hyping was second nature, but in a very lovable way. And he would say, forget about what the Carole Kings and the Sadakas, and we never looked at a contract, and Herbie made them out and he never looked at them. But the thing with You've Lost That Love and Feeling, and you can always have a hit on a La Bamba, and forget about, you want to talk about track record. Forget about it. And then when he got on television, he invited me. He said, I'm going to go on camera. After his era as a publisher, he had a second wave of career with Don Kirshner's Rock Concert, the first live rock and roll on television late at night, and it had voiceovers. Coming up, Edgar Winter Group. But he said, I'm going to go on myself and do it. He said, I'll be like Sullivan. People used to say Sullivan is stiff, but he had the gig. You know what I mean? Sullivan was stiff, but he had the gig. You would repeat that. He had the gig. I'm going to have the gig. I may be stiff, but I had the gig. And he slowed right down on this thing. And of course, and he didn't work. And he would say, I'm Don Kirshner. Because he was terrified, but it meant so much to him to get on top. And this is Rock Concert, And I took that impression with me back to Saturday Night Live when I got our show flopped, and I got my old job back, and I started doing a Kirshner impression on Saturday Night Live.
No, was anybody in the cast thinking, why is the guy who's the piano player coming out to do a sketch, or because you all came in together?
We all came in together, and Lauren, I gotta hand it to Lauren Michaels. I was his musical director, his piano player. Howard Shore was the musical director, now a renowned film writer. But Lauren included me in everything. Some nights I'd be there. We were there all night. None of us had girlfriends or anything to keep us, away from the office. Just there all night writing and coming up with musical stuff with Lauren. Oh, well, come on in, Paul. He'd be in there with Chevy Chase and Paul Simon trying to figure out the show, the cold opening. What do you think about this? And I was just a piano player, but I'll never forget how generous he was. With that experience. And then I got to, so I said, I do Kirshner. We needed some way to set up a bit. I think Garrett Morris was going to do Tina Turner and drag. Right. And we needed some way to explain this. And I said, well, I do Kirshner. Okay. As simple as that, Go to makeup, get a tan and a chain, and the next thing you know, I was on television.
And it's, like you said, it's everything that you loved and grew up idolizing all at the same time. It's funny comedy, it's variety, and it's great musical acts. I mean, there's no way for the young people to understand how we felt seeing some of these bands play live on TV.
Seeing them on TV, yes. Yeah. And there was a show also when we were kids called Shindig.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember that one? It was on a channel, ABC. And they had all the heavy acts of the day, including the British acts. Mm-hmm. They went to England to get the Beatles, but they educated us about Chicago blues. And remember how the Rolling Stones wouldn't go on unless Howlin' Wolf could be on it with them and stuff. So we learned all about Ray Charles through Shindig and stuff. And it never left my mind. And sometimes when we would, then I had the opportunity to produce up those Christmas numbers that Darlene Love, who was on every Shindig episode as a background singer, then sang that beautiful Christmas song on the Phil Spector Christmas record, and every year we had her do it on Letterman, and I was absolutely, pretending I was doing Shindig every Christmas.
I love that, but that's the thing about you, I think, that is amazing, is it still seems exciting to you, like when you were a kid.
I never lost the fandom. Fan number one.
Because people don't realize how important a great audience is. Somebody has to love the art for the art to be appreciated. Whether it's comedy, movies, doesn't matter. That audience has to be there, so you always need that
Dave Letterman certainly knew the value of an audience. He loved to perform in front of an audience and was always concerned about the kind of an audience. Well, they don't know my stuff. Where'd these people come from? They don't, Right. It was always the makeup of the audience, always very important to him.
Well, you got that gig with Letterman, and here you are. You're a young guy, and this is like the third or fourth lucky kind of break that you've had. And you're like,
Exactly,
you're
yeah.
just in the right place, and you have the right talent for all these. But the Letterman show, nobody knew whether it was going to work or not at the time.
Yes, that's true. I was used to these long runs already.
Yeah.
5 years on the original Saturday Night Live. I don't know. I just kind of assumed it was going to run.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Because I was used to it. Well, I left Saturday Night Live after 5 years. I was so young that I thought, you can do something for 5 years. There'll be something else. But by Letterman, I realized how lucky I was, and I stayed with him for 33 years, and I couldn't have been more blessed to have had that gig.
But also, I don't know whether young people could understand, again, you putting together the world's most dangerous band. There's 4 pieces playing rock and roll late night. We just had never seen it. And
it was time for rock and roll on a talk show.
Yeah.
Doc Severinsen and his big band.
Yeah.
If in their time they were the hippest, they were the swinginest, and they could back everybody from Tony Bennett for Sherry Lewis, the puppeteer, and Sinatra, So now it was time for rock and R&B. So I guess, again, right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And I had been a studio musician, and I got my 3 favorite guys from the studios.
Who were the original guys for the world's most dangerous?
Will Lee on bass, who stayed with me and did the first show and the very last show all through the 33 years. And he's one of the renowned best bass players in the world. The late Hiram Bullock was the guitarist, could play in it. He was like Hendrix incarnate.
Yeah.
And the great Steve Jordan, who has gone on to be a record producer of quite well-renowned, But
all these guys were, and yourself included, great session men. So
that's how I knew these guys.
Yeah.
Well, I was not like them. They were like first call guys. I was just struggling and may have been like a second call guy. If you couldn't get the heavy guys,
Right.
I would get it. But I was doing, very busy too in the studios.
Yeah.
Not like these guys. I hired guys better than I was. Doesn't everybody want that,
Yeah.
So I was the worst guy in the band.
But that was always the amazing thing.
But that's, literally.
that's what you want to be, right?
Yes, I was inspired by that.
Yeah. But I would watch that show so many times, hear Dave do a joke, hear you just say one thing, and a lot of times I was like, what did he say? And you guys would go into a song as if you had rehearsed it. And
Well,
that happened
I know a lot of songs, and that's sort of my one talent. I was never, although I studied classical piano as a kid, and I studied harmony and theory, my sight reading was never so good, but on my ear, I lived by my ear. I could play any song by ear. So I memorized a lot of songs. And the 3 guys I hired were the same as I. Mm-hmm. They had the same repertoire. We knew all the rock songs. They were a little hipper, like jazz and studio musicians, but deep down, they loved their rock and roll and their R&B. So we had this repertoire in common. And if I was going to go into Louie Louie, they were there. Bam, bam, they were there right away.
It happened immediately all the time.
Yeah.
So much that we stopped paying attention, like, oh, that's just something that happens. But it's really remarkable how many times.
And I had to be kind of particular about the musicians that I would hire too. To when I had to, different guys would go on to other things. You have to know the repertoire. Great jazz musicians would say, why can't we don't use me in your band? Well, because I can't look at you and say, hey Jude, and just see a blank look. You gotta know these songs, Well, I know, these jazz era guys, you gotta love rock and roll. I'm sorry. That was that number one requisite, for being in the band.
And you guys got to play with so many amazing people over the years.
Fun, yes. I mean, more than fun.
Yeah.
Life affirming, really. Starting with that James Brown appearance that so many people saw, because it was, I played, and we all did better than we ever thought we could play when we started to hear his voice. All of a sudden you're in his record. It was like magic.
But to have that experience, I mean, you think of how many great musicians, and they've been in great bands. They have never come close to having the experience that you've had with playing with so many people.
Through the rock and roll era, yes, which is, some would say, coming to an end now.
Yeah.
As it's replaced with the computerized era. Nonetheless, during that era, I got to almost every, I missed Sinatra Elvis, but otherwise they did pretty well.
Otherwise, you feel like at one point or another between that and the rock
I
and
used
roll.
to say Aretha when people would ask the question, who haven't you played with? But I got to play with her a number of times on Letterman and then even produce her for the Blues Brothers sequel, Doing Respect. So, I could cross that off my bucket list, and Patti LaBelle was an important one that I got to play. These people were very important to my life as a youth, so to come around and get to actually play for them was really something.
I was actually thinking when you said that Al Green on that show was, I think, one of the best TV moments ever. Many.
He did it a number of times.
Yeah.
Always turned it out. Yes.
And with Dave, did he have the same love for as rock and roll as you?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. He was a little more up to date than I. Mm-hmm. Maybe not quite as loyal to the oldies as I, but he certainly knew them. But, more of a person who could get into whatever was happening, be it Pearl Jam, or he's outlaw country, he goes all different directions, but he knows my stuff too.
And he also had that special love for Warren Zevon, which was amazing musical.
Yes, and what a story. Warren, who was one of his favorites, David Letterman's favorite composers and recording artists, did our show as a guest a number of times. And then, it used to be so hard for me to take a time off if I was sick or something. David hated to turn over and see someone strange there, a studio piano player or something. Who are you? And he would sometimes, out of nervousness, get them going on the air, and we don't want to see that, but it made him nervous if I wasn't there, just because he likes everything the same, so that would be a baseline. He could be crazy from that. Well, I was going to have to take 2 weeks off to do the Blues Brothers movie sequel that I mentioned. And who am I going to get? And one of the staff members suggested, it was Sheila Rogers, who was talent coordinator. What about Warren Zevon? Well, how brilliant, because when David looked over and saw Warren, he got a kick out of it. And eventually he said, can't we have all Warren's music when he substitutes for you? And that's the way it would be. It would be all Zevon all the time when Warren was on. And then, of course, Warren got sick. And he came on and he was terminally ill, came on and did that last show. David devoted the whole show to him. And he did 3 songs, rehearsing them in the afternoon. A lot for anybody, let alone a guy dying of cancer. The rehearsals were incredible. And I was saying, Warren, save it for the air. But he was excited. He was getting to perform. And then when he said, when David said, as a guy who's terminally ill, can you tell us, is there anything you know about life now, being in your position? He said, well, you got to enjoy every sandwich. And what a legacy, right? Enjoy every sandwich.
Yeah.
Man, to say that, you don't even have to have written Werewolves of London or anything. I mean, there's a contribution to culture.
And that's the funny thing about doing that show every night, is you don't realize how involved in everybody else's show that you are. I was telling this to my kids. I remember when that show started, I was in this kind of sad place in my life where all I would think is 12:30. If I make it to 12:30, I'm going to hang out with these.
Complimentary to hear. Imagine that.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people have felt like that.
There's certainly something about watching television late at night.
Yeah.
You're in bed a lot of the time. You've got a TV by the bed or something, and it's quiet. Hopefully, unless you have a new baby or something. But there's a different intimacy, I think, that you have with the audience. I absolutely enjoyed it, and I enjoyed my relationship with restaurant and bar people who were just getting home after their shifts in time to turn us on at 12:30, It was always fun. I could get a seat at the bar sometimes if it was crowded for that reason.
Well, you've always been a pretty good restaurant and bar guy.
Well, when you live in New York, I mean, it's the best place, for goodness sake.
You lived in a hotel suite for your first, 10 years or more here?
Yes. Not my first. I was subletting places on the Upper West Side when I was working on Broadway. And then checked into the Gramercy Park Hotel after that show, You're at the Top, flopped. And I lived there for, 10, 12 years, and you should have seen the incidental bill when I checked out. Checked out of there. My God, it was. But my wife, the lovely Kathy Vespoli, dragged me out of there, finally, and got me a real apartment. But I thank her for that.
That was kind of, it was used in the movie Almost Famous because a lot of rock bands would stay.
It was a crazy combination. I was there through the end of the 70s, into the 80s. So the end of Saturday Night Live time into my time with Letterman. And there were rent-controlled older people who had rent-controlled apartments and could not get kicked out of there. Like, the S.J. Perlman, the author, lived there, died there. And these rockers who were playing at Irving Plaza. Punkers. It was punk rock time. Guys with razor blades through their noses and stuff in the bar, talking to these older residents of the place. Everybody getting along. Insane. Funny to be there.
Yeah. But that energy is what New York had at the time.
Debbie Harry living, down in one floor below me in the back. My place was in the back. She was there, living there. Elvis Costello was there, too. You see these people just, talking, as I say, to an 80-year-old woman who had been there, since the 40s.
Yeah, Perlman goes back to what? Like the Algonquin Round Table. I mean, it's been around forever, but that was always the classic thing about New York energy, I think, and as the rents get higher, it's tougher to upkeep that kind of energy because you don't have as much free time to party and hang out. You got to make rent.
Speak for yourself.
The album is out, Paul Schaefer and the World's Most Dangerous Band. This is only about the third.
Yes, exactly. The third record I ever made. The last record was years ago in the 90s, so they liked it so much they asked me to do it again 20 years later, yes.
Well, one of the real famous record guys of all time asked you to do this.
Seymour Stein is legendary.
Yeah.
He started with Sid Nathan in Cincinnati, King Records with James Brown and Cowboy Copas and stuff, and then had Sire Records in the late 70s, early 80s, and had everybody from Madonna to Katie Lang and the Talking Heads and
Blondie,
the
I think,
Ramones.
too, right? No, he was down with Blondie. But he was at CBGB's when the record business wasn't paying attention to CBGB.
And signing punk and new wave, and some say he coined the term new wave.
Yeah.
Yes, and I got to know him from doing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction dinners all these 30 years with him. We were on the dinner committee together and stuff. And he called me up after Letterman ended, and I was a little depressed. Yes, Where are you going to go after Letterman, after 33 years of having that much fun, Was wondering what to do, and he said, you want to get back in the record business? And that's, I made that record, and I cheered up. And I had the time when I got his old partner, Richard Gotterer, was his original partner in Sire, to produce it. And Richard is a guy who goes back to having written My Boyfriend's Back in the 62 with his partners, Feldman and Goldstein. And then they were the Strange Loves. They put on loincloths and sang I Want Candy and stuff. And this guy is still, has a great time in the studio, and we had a lot of laughs together making this record. With the old band from Letterman, the World's Most Dangerous Band, renamed after we got the name back from NBC, we had to leave it there. And it got caught up in the Late Show Wars.
Right.
But nobody was even alive at NBC, from when the Late Show Wars. They said use the name, and we are. And a lot of wonderful people came out to do guest vocals on this album.
How did they come along? How did they come along? Was there a first?
Different ways. The first number, we did Cast Your Fate to the Wind, the classic instrumental. Took it sort of Caribbean, though, and luckily my manager knew the manager of Shaggy, the great Jamaican dance hall and rap expert and singer, and he was only too happy to do his thing with it, and that's how he got on the record. Dion, an idol of mine, the Wanderer, for goodness sake, does a wonderful take on Sam Cooke, who he did for me for all time's sake, and oh my goodness, Jenny Lewis, a new friend who had been in...
Phenomenal song, too. I love that.
Yes, and she had been in Billy Murray's Christmas special for Netflix. that's how, and Richie was dying to work with her. I said, well, I'll call her. I was just in this special with Billy Murray. And she happily did an old song of Richie's and his partner's, Sorrow.
Yeah.
That the McCoys did, and then Bowie on the Pinups album and stuff. She does her thing with that.
That to me is, did you let the singers pick the songs? Did you pick the songs?
We did that one. Yeah. That one, as I said, Richard brought in his own song, you know. I wonder if she could do that one, and I said that's perfect for her, and she liked it too. Different ways, different things. Cast Your Fate, you know, I asked Shaggy if he would do it, and he did. Billy Murray sings a song, does it straight.
Yeah.
You know, whimsical but straight. And that's one that we put together for him, one of the two originals on the record. His song, Funky Street. Where the grooviest people meet. No, Happy Street. Excuse me. Funky Street was an oldie but a goodie. Here's his Happy Street.
So the time in the studio was fun putting this together?
Yes, and Richie is the kind of guy who just, if it makes him feel good, he's up dancing. Mm-hmm. And he's, you know, it's not his first rodeo. He wrote My Boyfriend's Back, for goodness sake, but he'll still get up and dance around the studio if it's good, and then you know you got something. And if he's sitting there glum, you know you're not, you better do it again, you know, and that's kind of how we made the record, very naturally.
But you're always able to adjust. I always thought the stuff that you did with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame must have been a million balls are in the air that you got to keep up there.
Those early years, of course, before it was even on TV, where you see some of that home movie footage, when you had a stage full of star guitar players and stuff, and and people were just, what should we do? Well, do you know, Let It Be, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, many of them had done Letterman through the years, individually, sitting with the band individually, and would learn my signals on an individual basis. You know, obviously I do like a little bit like they do in Nashville, the 1 chord, the 4 and the 5, and this is 6 because you can do it with one hand, you know. So I could do that, and everybody would know, 6, you know, play A minor. That helped me a lot, having a relationship with individual people.
But you're also not just these are the icons, but these are the real divas of the business, you know. Some of those people don't like to play around.
Key is respect.
Yeah.
You know, it's not hard to figure out. You got to pay them the respect that they deserve. And I think that for the most part, sometimes I got in trouble, you know, trying to take control. Because you got to, you know, well, the people are coming, you know, let's everybody, and, you know.
Yeah.
I certainly was guilty of overstepping it sometimes. But for the most part, when I was cognizant, tried to show them the respect that they deserve. And sometimes they would understand and hear that I had studied them and was really a student above all else.
We just lost Chuck Berry, and I always remember that movie where Keith was the sane one trying to count, you know, like, let's get and he wasn't putting it, Chuck was having no part of this.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Keith, being such a big star himself, you know, I didn't have that problem.
Yeah.
I was not a key, you know, I was a humble person trying to facilitate this thing and conduct it, yes, but really, you know, learn from the people, and whatever you say, Mr. Barry, you gotta be like that.
Yeah.
It's the only way to be.
You know, when you look back, so many, I mean, we've, lost so many people, and that will never, you know, irreplaceable people. I think, especially to this art form. So the more of this kind of stuff that you've done in your life where you could just capture that for historical moments now.
One great one was done in New Orleans that I got to do. Right after the first Hall of Fame thing, these New Orleans guys said, we're making a show with Fats Domino and Jerry Lee Lewis and Ray Charles, the 3 great piano players. And I got to musically direct that. This is about 86 or 7 or something. Unforgettable. It was played on Cinemax at the time, but I don't know if it's available or anything, but talk about history. Yes, that comes to mind.
And none of, like we said, once you record something, it's there for somebody who wants it, somebody who's interested.
And YouTube is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. But we'll never have another Ray Charles. It's just something that doesn't happen again.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the technology has changed the music, but someone will come along. You know, we had Prince.
Right.
And we will continue to have
we'll have innovators, but not those types. And, you know, I always think of this, too, that you got to do that scene in Bill Murray's movie Scrooged when you're there with Miles
Davis,
Yeah.
Talk about, I mean, an icon who caught the Letterman show and knew who I was, the band leader on Letterman. It was the craziest thing, but I could relate to Miles, and he took over. You only saw us for about 6 seconds on the screen in that movie, but we got to go into a studio and do a 6-minute version of We Three Kings, Miles Davis style. He took over and arranged it, and was so encouraging to me and kind of taught me how to play his music to the degree he could in one evening. Never forget it.
What do you have to do to sound like Miles?
Well, we were doing it in a sort of later period sounding Miles, and this is a little musically technical, but I was the bass player on this, playing synth bass. There was no bass player, so that was my primary, so I was boom, boom, boom. And he knew what he wanted. He would come over, put his arm around me, sometimes sing bass lines, boom, 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 you know what I mean? And he had no, you know what I'm talking about, And I was trying, finally, still very encouraging, and he finally came over and he said to me, don't play the root. I said, what do you mean? What? Don't play the root. He meant musically. We're in a key of C, don't play the C on the bass. What do you mean? Play around it, he said, suggest it, pretend you're gonna go to it, don't go to it, don't play it. And I started doing that, and it floated the whole thing. It kept everything suspended. It never landed. It was always suspended, just like Bitches Brew or something.
Right.
To me, that was a big key that he showed me that afternoon. So you can all have, when you're playing a synth bass, don't play the root.
Don't play the root.
Yeah, don't play
if you want to sound like Miles.
Yeah.
But to have that experience, right? If that was the
$1 million
only
experience.
thing,
I know. I could retire.
Yeah, if that was,
I could be back in Canada selling Pontiac Laurentians for sure.
And you've got 1 million of those experiences.
Well, one thing is I'm going to, because of this record, I'm going to go on the road now and tour and play shows throughout the spring. In the show, I'm going to get to tell some of these things.
Great.
And maybe pay it off with a song. That's the way the show is going to be structured. Then I got the great Valerie Simpson guesting with me. So you can't lose. But I certainly will be telling some James Brown stories before our musical tribute to him and, things like that.
Yeah.
All of us in the band doing stuff that means a lot to us musically.
Well, that's like I said, the beauty of Session Men is that they get more experiences than most people who are in a hit band.
Oh, I think that's absolutely true. These days there are a lot of great collaborations, though. I mean, you might find Nelly, collaborating with Katy Perry. Yeah, it's the kids' version of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just that they work with a computer now when they collaborate, and when we played.
Well, I also think that there's something good about music being of an era. You know what I mean? Now, I totally thought rock and roll will never die. I believed that as a young person. I thought, we finally made it to the mountaintop, and just think, I happen to be 15. Why this is happening? This is great. You know what I mean?
I know it
felt
was
that way.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also great, I think, to have music that your parents don't necessarily like.
There's the whole key, and when we are the generation, our music was the Stones. You got to go pretty far, and Johnny Rotten.
Yeah.
To get something that we don't understand, you got to go pretty far.
Right.
And they have managed to. Yeah. No instruments, no melody. Try this, folks.
Yeah, there's something dropped. I don't know. You told me there was a drop there.
A drop. Yeah.
Well, there's still this type of music because you're going to be out touring it. What size venues do you want to do with this?
I don't know exactly, but obviously we're not going to be playing huge places.
Yeah.
A little more intimate theaters. And that's going to be great, and I hope to be able to, this really separates the men from the boys to me.
Yes.
I have that respect. We were talking about, your Jerry Lewis's, your Sammy Davis's. Laugh at them, we did, but they could go out in front of an audience and entertain.
Yes.
People came away having seen a great show. That's what, I gotta try to do this spring, and that's what I'm gonna be trying to do.
Well, your buddy Marty Short is doing those shows with Steve Martin, which are kind of Rat Pack type
and I saw,
feeling.
I was, not only saw it, I got to be in it. They had, once in a while they have a guest, and I'm best friends with Marty and friendly with Steve too. And I got to, kind of make a special appearance in it. Oh, it was great. That's a great show. Why am I plugging their show? Because they're, come and see me, but you gotta see them. They're hilarious. The two of them.
Yeah. And it all came because your love of music. Everything that's happened to you is because when you were a kid, your parents loved music.
I would say so,
Yeah.
yes. And somehow I put myself, and when I play the piano, I do put my heart into it. And I got to watch Ray Charles do it. And of course, he couldn't see, you know, so he was in his own isolated. He never touched that piano unless it was for keeps. And, you know, I learned that, I try to do that from him.
That's a feeling that, have you ever found yourself on automatic pilot and you're going, oh no, what am I doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly that. Yes. You know, maybe it's a little late. You're doing your second set, you know, in a Holiday Inn, and you're getting a little tired, but it's a privilege every time you touch those keys. And Ray knew it, and he also said, you know, every music has its beauty. You don't have to hip up country or something. Play it the way it's supposed to be played. That's a great lesson to know too from the genius.
Yeah, a guy like that actually, well, don't you think it's non-musicians that divide up the music? Like, it's the record store guys who start to come up with the genres, or radio programmers, but you meet musicians and they end up loving music. You know?
Yes, and everybody, the musical audience is more sophisticated now than they used to be, so I think you can say that of musicians and a lot of other people too. Yeah, there's something great. If you're hearing something on the radio, serious or otherwise, you know, there's something great about that got it there.
Now, is there anybody that you played with that was kind of a disappointment, or they didn't bring their A game?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't
everybody
think so.
was...
Everybody, if you got on the Letterman show, just for openers, you know, something got you there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't name anybody like that.
I think
it was disappointing.
That run that you had is, could you imagine if you were a kid and somebody said, Paul, here's the way your life is laid out?
It would have been sort of ideal. Exactly what I would have wanted to do. So no, you know, and again, it is a blessing that I do not take for granted. It was a God-given gift and almost a calling with me. Crazy. And I didn't need to write, you know, writing isn't how I got on. I just love to play the piano and play songs that I loved. And I got to do that. So, you know, I'm blessed, and
Well, you're
thank
blessed.
God.
Yeah, you're blessed on and off stage. It's,
Sure.
You've got it all. Now, the band that you're playing with now, that you're calling the world's most dangerous band, that's from this, for the people at home, I'm holding up the album again.
Yes.
This
Holding
is
it
the
up
way
again.
Dave would hold
giving me
it up.
some more. He's giving me some more play.
But it's a large number of players.
Yes, it was a band that I was in the trenches with me on Letterman, night after night. 3 horns, 2 guitars, bass and drums, and me.
Yeah. What is
7 or 8? I don't know. My math isn't.
What is your idea? Because you started as 4.
Yeah.
Did you always want horns though? Was there something?
No, I loved the 4.
Yeah.
Because we could turn on a dime. And we all had that repertoire in common. And we could, you know, and when there's only 4, you could turn everybody up louder. It was sort of a little bit of a secret about how to sound good on TV. Few people, you know, speakers only this big. In those days, now, of course, you're listening through big speakers, but part of that secret was only 4 of us. Then I was asked to make the band bigger when we moved to CBS, and we moved earlier, and it had to look like a bigger show, and I added horns, and now I couldn't see doing it without them. You know, it was exciting.
That's another thing is the Ed Sullivan Theater. You're a kid who grew up watching that show.
That was pretty cool, yeah. You didn't really notice that until you had to, in the basement, you had to step over Topo Gigio's corpse. Dead bones and body there, yeah. That was messy. But other than that, you didn't really notice that we were in the Sullivan Theater, but it was so true.
But even I remember Paul coming back to do the show in that theater and going,
Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
yes,
Paul McCartney.
Sure.
Yeah, I should have said McCartney. For some people don't know all the Beatles.
Paul Simon. You know.
Yeah, that's true. He did it as well.
You running obviously in these circles. Yeah.
But for even he got it. But that's one of the things I always loved about Dave is they wanted to call it the Letterman Theater. When he went in, he goes, no.
Well, of course, the tradition of the Ed Sullivan Theater was, I mean, you know, what a run he had.
Yeah.
And so influential, and what most people remember is the Beatles. But besides the Beatles, you know, he introduced us to worldwide acrobats and old British music hall people, and People that were on Broadway would do a scene from the show.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And always something for the kids and people up in Canada.
Yeah.
He was always taking care of us people up in Canada. Now, you say something in Canada now.
But that is, I mean, we'll never have that kind of entertainment because you would, before you got to see, I don't know, the Mamas and Papas, there was going to be ballet.
Yeah.
Or Jackie Mason doing, so it
and the
literally
whole
brought-
family together
Yeah.
watching a show. No, I guess those days are gone. Yes.
But you lived throughout the next couple of phases, through Saturday Night Live and through Letterman. I think that was two different generations of variety and where some
Yes,
went.
and some would say that Letterman took the Johnny Carson talk show format and added a Saturday Night Live
Right, that's a
vibe
good,
to it.
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Well, that was, like I said, it'll be hard for anybody that's younger to understand because so much of what Dave did has been adopted not just in that kind of broadcasting, late night broadcasting, but if you turn on ESPN, you're like, oh yeah, he's doing Letterman.
That
That's
kind of
yeah.
ironic Letterman-esque
Right.
thing, sure.
Nobody,
Well, everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, Dave was influential,
yeah. But nobody was smaller than life to Dave. Like, everybody act like we have a big show, but Dave was like this little show that we're doing.
Dog and
His-
Pony
yeah,
Show used
his
to call
dog-
it, yeah, I know.
And we're like,
Well, that's
whoa.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But-
it sure was. It was a little show. Hardly rehearsed or, mistakes, leave all the mistakes in.
Yeah.
People loved it.
Who were the guests, like the other than the big stars that you used to love that were regulars that would come through? Cause that 80s show having,
Well, as I have read since then, part of that was Johnny Carson saying, you can't have the same guests that I have. I have Dom DeLuise, for 4 times a year. You can't have him. So we were forced to have offbeat, off the wall people. Brother Theodore.
yeah.
Remember him?
Sure.
Crazy beatnik guy with an act. His act was that he would lose it.
Yes. He was screaming.
He was insane. Yeah. That
Yeah.
guy. Always amazing when he would come on, and we had more of them too. We had an endless supply of them, really. He's the main one I remember.
Yeah, but that thing again has changed TV for everybody. People they use that as the starting point. Now, what Dave did.
Yeah, we used to call that human interest.
Yeah.
Human interest guest, a woman who collects potatoes that look like celebrities or something.
Yeah.
Fell under the category of human interest, and Dave was famous for having his human interest guests. Yes, and regular people turned out to be interesting. Oh my goodness, you're not saying Dave was responsible for the Kardashians. No. Well, they're not regular people.
But I do remember because, to me, one of the great moments of the show, rock and roll moments, was REM because I'll always remember them. I think they said that they didn't have the name for them. They had a name which would become like South Central Rain. So if you were like a college radio fan in the 80s, that was your Beatles moment. Like,
how about that? I remember it, of course.
Yeah.
Michael Stipe had long hair.
Had long hair and didn't get interviewed, but the other guys were, and he just sat down. I always remember he sat down on the drum riser. He was so shy. And it was a phenomenal rock and roll moment. You had so many of those.
We were there. We were the talk show that was on during the rock and roll era. It turned out to be true.
And now you're going to see Paul Schaefer coming to
your town like the Monkees. Yes. I will be there.
Here he comes.
Here we come. Yeah.
Pick up the album so you know the songs before he gets that.
Thank you.
Paul, what a pleasure to have you here today.
Lovely audience. Thank you all, and thank you for having me here in the Sirius in the studio. And thank you very much.
Paul Schaefer, World's Most Dangerous Band. It's out now. Thank you so much, Paul. It was great.